Alright, what's going on, everybody? I'm going to try and make this as short and sweet as possible. I'm not going to take up too much of your time. I just want to give a quick little speech. If you don't care what I have to say, then skip to this time code. But I just want to say thank you for the year that I've had on my channel. This has easily been the best year of my channel. This was a year of experimentation and discovery and just finding new stuff to do. Like, I had the whole green screen stuff. I was doing more stuff on camera, and I had a lot of fun this year. Hopefully 2026 is, an even better year, but I'm eternally grateful for everybody that left a comment, even if it was a hate comment. I thank you, who liked or even told their friends or family about what I do, and hopefully I made your days a bit better. But this is the best of 2025. This isn't like a countdown list or like a ranked thing. This is just kind of the videos that I felt were my best work of the year. It's no particular order, and I'll leave timestamps if you want to see a certain video. And if you're new here and this is your first time seeing these videos, thank you. One short little warning, some of these videos do have some issues like the camera being out of focus or audio issues. I was able to fix some of those in post, but if you could ignore those, please do. Anyway, I'll shut up. Enjoy. SmackDown vs. Raw 2010 is a game that I have a special connection with. Not only was it the first wrestling game I ever played, but one of the first video games I ever played in general. Last time I reviewed SmackDown vs. Raw 2009, and today we have the last WWE game of the 2000s, SmackDown vs. Raw 2010. SVR 2010 continues the tradition of adding something new to the game each year. When I booted up the game, the first thing I did was go into Superstar Threads. This allows you to customize wrestlers, so now you don't have to use the same Rey Mysterio attire all year long. It isn't like today where you can add logos and have up to 100 creative parts in the suite. It's just changing colors of the wrestlers, but it's very appreciated here. The main menu is also redesigned well too. When you start up the game, you're booted into a training facility that's modeled exactly after FCW, WWE's at the time developmental system. Hitting the pause button is what actually brings up your match options. And when you select your match, there's only one new one here, the Championship Scramble. Now, it's essentially a dumbed down version of the Iron Survivor match seen today. It was only seen 3 times on one show, Unforgiven 2008. In the match I recorded, it ended in a complete draw with 0 falls in the entire match, so that was kind of fun, but I would not mind seeing this match type come back in a future 2K title. In the roster department, making their video game debuts are Jack Swagger, Gail Kim, Dolph Ziggler, The Bellas, R-Truth. I know he appeared in Raw as K-Quick, but this is his debut as R-Truth. Mike Knox, Natalya, and Maurice. Now, starting out my first match playing this game for the first time in years, I was excited to get back into this game, because it was a game that I really loved to play. And when I played my first match in a while, I couldn't help but think, oh, this isn't as good as I remember. It feels kind of clunky and slow at times. I have heard that the 360 version does run better than the PS3 version. I don't know how true that is. If you want to confirm in the comments, please do, but maybe it's just my PS3 issue. I'm not burying this game by any means. I still think it's a good-ass game, but I guess I was just blinded by nostalgia in a way. But I stuck through it, I played a few more matches, and I eventually got used to it again. And I'm glad I did, because this game actually is a good time. We finally get new camera angles where the more impact moves you hit, the camera will shift and turn, and eventually we will get that classic SmackDown camera. There's also just small attention to details in the presentation overall, like flashbulbs going on when you hit your finisher. The Royal Rumble has been revamped with an all-new minigame that has you tap the buttons rapidly or correctly time a minibar. This new Rumble is fun, but if you want to just cheese it, just cheese the corner elimination. Sadly though, I did get eliminated, but it is what it is. And here's a fun fact, the cutscene that plays in the current 2K games when it's down to the final 2, debuted in this game. They haven't changed it in 16 years. The AI has been improved as well. They are more likely to kick out of finishers and reverse more often. Road to WrestleMania has been brought back, and the storylines here are better than '09, I'd argue. The first one I selected was Randy Orton. Prime Psycho Orton is here. He wins the World Heavyweight title and then defends it against The Undertaker in a Hell in a Cell, and then throws him off of it. At the same time, the Ascension and Legacy starts to happen. The cracks in the foundation start to show. Cody asks Randy to ref a match between him and future inmate Ted Jr. During the match, though, Legacy turns on Randy. And after that, It was at that moment that Legacy knew they f***ed up. Randy crashes out. He RKOs his dad, RKOs Dusty, and Ted Sr. The game eventually will let you choose who to take hostage. 2009 Randy Orton was about that life, and at Mania, it ends in a Legacy triple threat. This happened a few months before it happened in real life, so either the WWE writing team had stole this, or it was already talked about and Ukes just happened to do it first. Next up, we have the co-op story of John Cena and Triple H. This storyline is way too damn long, by the way. Both recording files are about an hour and 30 minutes long. Holy shit. It starts with the whole, oh, can we coexist? And then it turns into an ECW takeover. Big Show, the man with more face and heel turns than I have subscribers, pulls up to Cena's locker room and GG's Cena gets clapped. And then he destroys the championship. Triple H isn't safe either, he gets clapped. So Cena and Hunter pull up to ECW and clap the entire roster in response. And they vandalize the ring. This was as close as we got to a Cena heel turn until this past Saturday.
Just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Mania comes, and of course, it's another Iron Man match. Did Cena just watch 90s HBK? Like, what's with the Iron Man match back-to-back years? Oh, and by the way, lol, Cena wins. HBK storyline is just him feuding with JBL. And that was just it. To me, it was pretty boring, so we're just gonna gloss over it. The Mickie James storyline, however, isn't boring. It's like a role reversal of how Mickie debuted with Natalya being an obsessive fan of Mickie James, and it's all cute and she's okay with it until it becomes borderline psychotic. And it ends with a match at Mania. And I don't know what the hell Ukes were on, but Natalya becomes some sort of technical goddess here. This match took me like 2 tries to complete, but hey, eventually I got it done. But what's really cool about the storyline is the fact that this has an all-female Rumble in it. And this would not happen in real life for another 8 years. So this game actually predicted the Women's Rumble in a way. Well, the first time ever, we got our own creative character storyline. This is the perfect segue, actually, to go into the new gimmick for SVR 2010. It was the overhauled Creation Suite. The paint tool debuted here, and it's a suite that allows for whatever you can imagine. I didn't record anything paint tool related for 2010, but I did for 2011, and I'll have more thoughts on it then. But we really do take for granted just having the ability to download logos off the community creations. People back in the day were gods with this. Like, I can't imagine making this on the paint tool. Speaking of community creations, it also made its debut in SmackDown vs. Raw 2010. It's very basic and bare bones compared to today, but it was the debut of something that we rely on. The Creation Suite itself is nice, with well over 100 different layers of trunks, tights, etc. And here's me at SVR 2010. The Cost storyline starts with UC in the front row watching Santino defend the Intercontinental title. Santino insults the crowd and goads you into coming into the ring. You jump the barricade, kick his ass, and you win the title. The same way that Santino debuted. Vince is upset because we aren't on a contract, and we are the active champion. So Vince does everything he can to stop us. He gets Kozlov and Ezekiel Jackson to jump us. Nah, I grew up watching Super Cena. Let's just destroy them both. Finally, Vince has enough and says if we can win the Rumble, we will get our contract. And the game actually does let you do the whole Tumblr gimmick. Sadly, I got number 4. But it's okay, I had that Hulk Hogan booking and dumped everybody. After winning the Rumble, Vince does this whole deal where he's like, hey, you need to have your own finish, so you make your own custom finisher. Now, looking back at this is funny. See, in all the other stories, if you have custom attires, you can change them because of the Superstar threads, but because this is your created character, you can customize the character. So, I went to go change my attire for the visual sake of the video, and I see this.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
I'm assuming this is a joke on how WWE was known to give people ridiculous gimmicks and looks and change what was already established, but this neon looking shit is bad, I'm sorry. And it gets goofier. Before the chamber, Santino replaces your gear with a chicken suit. No, I'm not kidding. Finally, our character has had enough and challenges Vince to a match at Mania. It goes down, and of course I beat Vince, but no, the chicanery continues. Vince makes it a first blood match, and I beat him with one chair shot. That's okay, Vince sticks his goons on us and we make him bleed and kick their asses. And finally, I put Vince through a table. Finn. There is a second ending where you do make Vince do the chicken dance, but sadly I did not get this ending. Finally, we get my favorite storyline in the game. The Edge Road to WrestleMania. This is prime Edge, sleazy getting with the GM Edge. Mr. Kennedy actually gets the biggest push here with him being the WWE Champion in the storyline. Edge wins the match and convinces Vince to let Maria of all people be the GM of SmackDown. And he manipulates her into doing his bidding, letting him pick his matches, getting easy victories. Later, Maria gets concussed, and at the hospital, Edge just happens to have the power of attorney papers with him, and this cracked me up, I won't even lie. Later, Maria finds out how she got concussed and turns on Edge, so she books a steel cage match for Mania. It's a banger, and as we are about to escape, it's a swerve, bro! And Maria turns heel and helps Edge win. Real quick, I'd like to take a look at the banger soundtrack, because unfortunately, this was the last game until 2K15 to have a licensed soundtrack. So, here you go, here's some of my favorite tracks from the game.
It's just another war, just another family torn from my feet today. Just a step on the edge, just another day in the world we live. I need a hero to save me now. I need a hero to save me now. I need a hero to save my life. A hero will save me. You never see the things that I've seen, bottled up inside, 'cause I'm taking back my life. The secret side of me, I never let you see. I keep it caged, but I can't control it. So stay away from me, the beast is ugly. I feel the rage and I just can't hold it. It's scratching on the walls, in the closet, in the halls. It comes awake and I can't control it.
Now, one last thing before we go. I briefly want to touch on the story designer. See, when I made my 2K25 wishlist video, I got a lot of comments about story designer. And I had messed with it in 2K14, but I never really learned how to use it. I did screw around with it. I didn't record it, sadly, but I was screwing around with it when I was playing 2010. And I can see why it could come back. And for people who make 2K shows or colleagues, if you know what those are, I could see why this would be helpful to them. So, yeah, just wanted to briefly touch on story designer, because I know if I didn't, people would crucify me in the comments. But I hope you guys enjoyed this review. We're now on the last SmackDown vs. Raw game, 2011. My favorite wrestling game of all time, so you know I'm going to put it over big time. Can't wait for you guys to see that video. And, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Peace. I'm out. The Devil May Cry reboot is one of the most controversial games ever released. People were not happy with the new art direction and overall edgy tones of the rebooted DMC. If I could compare the hatred for this game to something more current, it would be the Saints Row reboot. Nobody was happy with that game, and it led to a beloved studio in Volition closing down permanently. Now, the decision to reboot Devil May Cry was a strange one, considering that DMC4 had done reasonably well, and it wouldn't be until 2019 that a sequel to the original series would be made and released. It was Capcom themselves that ultimately made the decision to reboot the series to, quote, appear to a more Western audience. In charge of the reboot was UK-based developer Ninja Theory, a studio whose only work besides DMC was known for Heavenly Sword. which I have still yet to play. So, would their grittier, more western Devil May Cry do well and appeal to the fans?
And I got a bigger dick.
Damn, bro, that's edgy.
Starting off at the Tokyo Game Show in 2010, DMC Devil May Cry, Devil May Cry, Devil May Cry, got it, was shown off with the main protagonist Dante looking nothing like his original self. Now, it's said that Ninja Theory were aiming for a similar look to the OG Dante, but Capcom themselves rejected it. So we got this. And for what the game is going for, honestly, it works. I don't hate it. If you were there for this game's initial announcement, fans were not happy with people trashing the new Dante design, calling him emo this, a bunch of emo jokes that were overall just pretty stupid.
It's my judgment that the new Dante looks stupid! Half demon, half angel, potty mouth, teeny bopper.
Just not giving the game a chance, and Ninja Theory themselves did not help, saying shit like, quote, "If Dante dressed as he was, walked into any bar outside of Tokyo, he'd get laughed out. What Devil May Cry did when it launched was it brought everything that was great about action cinema like fashion, music. It was like a cultural melting pot, and I feel like now for Devil May Cry to have that same impact, it needs to draw on new things. New music, new ways of cinematography, new fashion."
Yeah, that makes sense.
End quote. I can't drink, but if I was at a bar and I saw the OG Dante and the reboot Dante without knowing each of them, I would go hang out with the OG personally. Also, they doubled down on it by doing this.
Not in a million years.
The best part is that he actually looks way better with the wig on. But way to go, Ninja Theory. Insulting your player base is always a smart business tactic. I'm looking at you, Volition. The DMC reboot was looking dead in the water with all this negative backlash. The more trailers that were showed more changes being made that would hopefully make some of the originality come back. But the fateful day came in January of 2015. When Devil May Cry for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, and later in 2015 for the PS4 and Xbox One was the Definitive Edition. That is the version I'm reviewing, so I get the lock-on and the 60 FPS. Yeah, if you didn't know, when this game launched, it didn't have a lock-on feature, which for a Devil May Cry game is just straight out sinful. So in regards to the reboot and how I feel about it, yeah, I actually enjoy this game. This isn't a video where I'm going to overly trash the reboot. Now, that's not saying I don't love all of it. For one, the story is something. It immediately sets the tone with Dante bringing home 2 strippers because edgy and cool. But the actual concept of the story is cool, with demons controlling the world and there being this alternate world to ours called Limbo. This promotional artwork for the game suggests that Limbo was going to be the name of a city, but then was changed to an alternate reality. The dialogue at times is cringe, other times funny, but always overly edgy. I jokingly refer to this game as Devil May Cry the Rob Zombie cut. Thankfully, this game is better than every Rob Zombie film ever made, not named Halloween and Devil's Rejects. Accompanying this new tone is the soundtrack done by bands Noisia and Combi Christ.
Off my trailer.
I hope I said that right. And the soundtrack is actually good. Yeah, I took the time to listen to the soundtrack on the bus ride to school today. When I'm doing this voiceover anyway, and it's actually good. I recommend it. This game is also obsessed with swearing.
Your prime day, you ugly sack of shit.
Like a lot. Now don't get me wrong, I like swearing in my video games, but I feel like it's overdone here. Dante in this game feels like he swears just for the sake of swearing. He's like that one kid who cusses in class because he thinks it's cool. The characters in DMC are okay. Dante did win me over. He starts the game as a total douchebag who only cares about himself, and ends the game being the human protector. He reminds me a lot of Nero from DMC4. I don't mean that he is like Nero, I just mean like sort of that anger and angst for that Nero had is kind of seen here at the beginning of the game. There's Kat, who is the game's female character, and she's actually a really cool character. I liked her a lot. She ends up being a love interest for Dante near the end, and all things considered, had a very good story arc. There's Mundus, and before he commented, yes, I'm aware they pronounce it wrong. It's Mundus in the original series, but they call him Mundus, so I'm going to call him Mundus. Mundus is this game's Lex Luthor, and I'm not saying that just because he's bald. He's literally Lex Luthor if he was in demon form. And then there's Virgil. Virgil sucks in this game. I legitimately cannot stand the way Virgil is written here. Like, firstly, he's the leader of a terrorist movement trying to expose demons to the uneducated, which for the plot it works, but then the cream of the crop is when he shoots a pregnant woman.
Fuck. The hell did you do that for?
I had to.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Virgil would never do this. And at the end of the game, Virgil was just randomly revealed to be evil, but they did tease this numerous times, so I can't sit here and say it was out of nowhere. Speaking of bosses, I don't really have a complaint about them. There's the Hunter Demon, which just serves as a basic intro boss, much like the Reaper in DMC3. Wasn't too challenging, it was fun. There's the Succubus boss, which is actually a pretty fun boss fight, and it gave us what's probably most known about this game is this clip right here.
Tell me, I'm 1,200 years old.
You don't look a day over 12,000.
Fuck you!
Fuck you!
Fuck you!
The game actually crashed during the middle of the boss fight, which really annoyed me. It's a multi-stage boss fight, which isn't bad here, because I, for one, really dislike multi-stage boss fights. That's one of my biggest critiques of Spider-Man 2, is that every boss fight was a multi-stage boss fight. I'm just not a fan of these. But here it wasn't too tedious. Succubus was the only boss I died a couple times on through the entire game. Next, we have Alex Jones. This boss fight is... hold up. Oh, sorry. Barbas. His name's Bob Barbas. Excuse me. He really is this game's version of Alex Jones though, with his extreme news reports and insults towards Dante. This is actually my second favorite boss fight in the game. And while it's not insanely difficult, I do like the visual aesthetic of it, and I just think it overall looks cool. But now that I'm on the topic of Bob Barbas, this gives me the chance to talk about Raptor News Report. Sorry. Then there's this thing. It's a multi-stage boss fight again, but it was fun, all things considered, and it's a better boss fight than this jackass. Mundus has his own boss fight that is fine. It's like the Succubus one, being that you must jump from platform to platform and damage both of its arms. Wasn't too difficult, I didn't mind it. And finally we have the main event and easily the best boss in the game, Virgil. Now, despite anybody with a working brain cell knowing Virgil was going to turn heel, this legitimately is a solid boss fight. It works just like a Virgil boss would. It's similar to the first fight in DMC3 with some new moves added in that the original didn't have. Now, in the past, I have gone back to this game just to play this boss fight. And it's very fun. I beat this game on Devil Hunter difficulty. I am currently working on doing a playthrough on Nephilim, which is the game's hard mode. Haven't gotten to Virgil yet, so I can't really comment if it's hard or not. But I enjoyed it. So far, Nephilim, the game's pretty easy because your upgrades don't reset. Now, the gameplay itself is very damn good. Potential hot take here, apart from DMC5, this has the most fluid and fast gameplay in the series. It's probably going to trigger some guys, but I mean, that's just my opinion. I gotta call it like I see it. The combo system is really well done. It's simplified, so maybe that's why it's easier to get triple S combos, but the combat section is something I'm definitely a fan of. Now, they did remove some stuff from the original series. The style system is gone, and so is using red orbs for new moves. Instead, using dedicated upgrade points. These are obtained pretty fast, but red orbs are gained at an extraordinarily slow rate. And I don't like that. Like, yeah, I bought some items on my playthrough, but I only finished the game with about 1,500 orbs or so. In the replacement of styles, Dante has an angel and a demon combat mode that come with their own devil arms that are all useful and have their own purposes. There's this grapple hook that works with both styles, and it's used a lot in gameplay. It did feel a tad bit overused at times, but I do like the new addition to gameplay. You can also use them in combat, so it's not like they're useless. There's also this long glide that Dante does that kind of feels similar to Dante's abilities when using Trickster in the original series. Again, it can be used in combat to evade enemies, so it's not useless. As you can see by the footage I recorded, I have access to the DLC skins, and the classic costumes to me just look off. Like, they don't fit this Dante. Graphically, they look amazing, but they just look funky. It looks like someone's cosplaying as DMC1 Dante, and it's not DMC1 Dante. The other skins are alright. I used them in the past, and obviously I had to use them again for this review, and they're okay. I only really like the DMC3 and 1 skins. Looking at the concept art, there were a lot of outfits proposed that Dante had with white hair and a red coat. And there's also this design, which, thank God they did not use this design. Also, beating the game unlocks a costume that is just Dante's base design but with white hair. So they gave it to us anyway. DMC got a DLC expansion in the form of Virgil's Downfall, and oh my god, this DLC is so bad, it's not even funny. And it's not due to the gameplay, because Virgil's gameplay is just as fun as Dante's, but the story is god-awful. Like, they make it to where Virgil is the hero, and Dante and Kat are portrayed as evil and power-hungry, despite that being the exact opposite in the game's ending. The cutscenes are cool, but I really cannot stand the way they handled Virgil in this game. First off, they have him kill Kat, which is just ridiculous. The DLC is pretty much about Virgil seeking power and coming back to the human world, so it's they're trying to do it like how it was portrayed in DMC3, but oh my god, this DLC is awful. I honestly do enjoy this game though, despite all the dumb shit in it. Most people who hate this game either do legitimately hate it, and that's fine, and some wrote it off having never played it. Now, this is not me saying your opinion is wrong. I'm never going to say that your opinion is wrong on a bad game, or a so-called bad game, because, I mean, if you've been on the channel, you know I like some bad games. Cough, cough, Def Jam Icon. But to me personally, DMC is a very good game, minus some of the stupid shit in the story and Virgil's entire character. It's a great game. I enjoyed the gameplay, level design, and the music. And if I had to give it a score, I'd give the final verdict for DMC Devil May Cry a solid 7 out of 10. I recommend this game to DMC fans. If you're new to the series, check it out. Or if you wrote it off back then, give it a try. Next time, we're going to take a look at Devil May Cry 4, released in 2008. I'm covering the special edition, so I have all the characters in DLC. I'm excited to play it again. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Peace. I'm out. Well, a deal is a deal. So, as a thank you for hitting 2,000 subscribers, seriously guys, I cannot thank you enough, I am going to be playing and reviewing Half-Life 2 for the very first time, and I'm going to decide if it's as good as everyone tells me it is. I do want to quickly do a disclaimer that A, this video is going to be spoiler-free for the most part. I am going to talk about some plot points, but not all of them. Second, I am not covering the episodes in this video. I'm just covering base Half-Life 2. If you guys want to see me talk about the episodes, let me know down in the comments, because I will certainly do it. So without further ado, let's start this review. The first thing that I really noticed and took notes on for Half-Life 2 is how good it just looks and the way it plays. With this being a game from 2004, like most games from that era, I expected a good amount of jank and stiffness. And I actually have no complaints about that, minus one small section of the game that I will get to later. There is a little bit of jank when getting stuck to barrels and trying to pick them up and move them, but you can actually pick the barrels up and just throw them at people. Seriously, at the very beginning of the game, I just decided to pick up this can and throw it at this Combine soldier. Didn't know there was an achievement for it, I just thought it was funny to do. Throwing things at people might honestly be one of the funniest but best parts about this game. Picking up things are also a big part of the puzzles. Yeah, this game has puzzles. They're not like Uncharted puzzles for the most part. They're pretty obvious from what I was told. There's like this brick puzzle near the beginning of the game, and I skipped it just because I ran up the seesaw, not even thinking it was a puzzle. For the most part, it's more or less pick up object, drop it here. Not really much of a puzzle in my opinion. Now, I do want to talk about this one water barrel puzzle. My good friends Noah and Slippy, who I was hanging out with in Discord calls for the majority of my time playing this, were telling me I would struggle with it, it's a big deal, and Noah, being the smart person he is, accidentally spoiled it for me. But it's not too difficult. Some of the puzzles also just question the way you think. I will say here, there was this one moment where I hit the switch to open up this damn thing, and I'm like, where's the puzzle? Where the fuck is the puzzle? Where is it? There is no puzzle. You just jump a ramp. Kids, don't be like me. I'm an idiot. This game's atmosphere is also really amazing, but also at times creepy. Like, unsettling creepy. There were plenty of times where I was fully anticipating a jump scare, and they're here, but not in like an official capacity. I am so fucking sick of shit jumping at my face. This is gonna be in the video, by the way. Oh my god, I hate it. I fucking hate it. It's a great game. Minus the jump scares. Fuck that. See, this is why the pussy always lives in horror movies. You guys make fun of me all you want, but this is why the pussy lives. See, I have this wonderful thing called ADHD, so I have the attention span of a fucking goldfish. And yeah, there were plenty of times where enemies scared the living shit out of me. The enemies in the game are great. You have your simple foot soldiers, aka the Combine soldiers, but then we have, shall we say, supernatural enemy types. Starting first, we have the barnacles. Yes, that is their actual name. Fuck these things, they creep me the hell out. If you're not careful, they will stick their, I guess, tongues out and try and eat you, but they die fairly easily. And then we have the head crabs. Who at Valve is naming these enemies? What the f— Now, these fucking things, scary. I don't fuck with it. They crawl on the ground and jump at you and shit, and they attach to dead bodies, basically putting zombies into the game. Head crab zombies, I mean, they're scary, but it's kind of cool in a way. Then we have the ant lions, which are these giant green spiders. They remind me a lot of the arachnids from Devil May Cry 3. Go check out my review of that here. But luckily, Half-Life 2 does give us a lot of ways to deal with these enemies. With Half-Life 2 being an FPS, naturally there are a lot of weapons, and I must say the variety of weapons is greatly appreciated. You start out with the crowbar, which is used to break wooden doors and crates, and can be also used as a melee weapon, but you also get a starter pistol. It's okay, but by the time you get to Highway 17 and Sand Traps, this thing becomes virtually a pea shooter. Later on, you can find an SMG which can fire grenades. Ow. There's no underbarrel attachment on an MP7. I want to fucking know, someone tell me. But seriously, the SMG, in my opinion, outside of two other weapons, might be the best in the game. I don't really know like what the consensus best weapon is, but you know. We also have a revolver that kicks ass and one-shots everything. Hey, I'm just saying, Charlie ain't the only revolver god. I pointed this out to my friends while playing, but I like how the revolver has like the generic stock gun sound effect that's been used in every movie ever. Those fucking fast zombies. There's rocket launchers, which are actually heat-seeking. Like, it took me a while to realize you have to actually move the crosshair to get it to hit its target. The pulse rifle, and more. I was really not expecting Half-Life 2 to have this variety of weapons. I figured this was one of those games that gives you one or two weapons and that's it. But props to Valve for adding weapon variety. And yes, I know you're probably commenting, I didn't forget about the shotgun, I'm saving it for a certain section. But now, let's talk about some of the levels and set pieces in this game. I like how this game does a lot more than just shoot everything in sight. I mean, there's a lot of that, but I was shocked to learn there's actual drivable vehicles. but it makes a terrible first impression with the airboat sequence. This thing controls like fucking garbage. I'm sorry, but I have to call something out when I don't like it. At first, I didn't really care and ignored it because this is a 20-year-old game. I wasn't expecting, polished 2025 mechanics. But then you drive a dune buggy that controls way better in my opinion, so what happened? Not to mention, the airboat section in my opinion is way too fucking long and overstays its welcome. The Black Mesa section is also fun. You get the gravity gun, which is like the Half-Life gun, as far as I know, and get to play a little game of fetch, but after this, we get the Half-Life 2 level. Up to this point, Slippy and Noah are hyping it up, saying, "We want to be there for Ravenholm, it's going to be great, you'll fucking love it." Now, when I heard the name Ravenholm, immediately, my mind went to gothic imagery like spooky Dracula castles, Castlevania type shit. I was close. So when I got to it and saw what it was, yeah, fuck you guys. Ravenholm creeps me the fuck out. It does, to the point where I didn't want to play it. And I'm not ashamed to admit that. I mean, Valve did their job. I'm fucking scared. I really don't fucking like this. This shit is scary.
Nah.
Mario, I want to be liking this shit yet.
Hey man, you got your new toy earlier that lets you fling things. You're gonna love this level because of it, trust.
Fuck the gravity gun. I don't want to be here. So, because I'm a pussy, here is Noah himself to explain why Ravenholm is great. All the Ravenholm gameplay is him playing, by the way. It's still on my save my account. We just did this to remote play. So, take it away, Noah.
Alright, since Doc wasn't actually able to do Ravenholm, I had to do it instead. Since he's a pussy about it, I'll take control of Ravenholm's section of the game. When entering Ravenholm after the Combine raid of Black Mesa East, obviously Gordon Freeman, which is the player, enters an abandoned mine town that was hit by the Combine using headcrabs. Yes, the Combines bombed them with headcrabs, which is also what happened in Lost Coast in Sadoga, if that's how you pronounce it, right? Basically, it leads to what is now Ravenholm. Now, what is Ravenholm, may ask? It's a zombie mess, completely disastrous, and there's no survivors whatsoever. Beginning of Ravenholm, you can see the nighttime, darker atmosphere of the game, showing the creepiness of the town. It makes you feel really alone, which is also what Source Engine, for some odd reason, does to other people. But Ravenholm actually does this. Now, the uniqueness of Ravenholm, it begins to show off the technology of Source Engine, which is the gravity gun you received from Alex. Basically using the props as the weapon against the zombies. It shows it off, using the sawmill or an explosive barrel, for example. It is a very fun way to use the weapon, and it's a very impressive at the time, and it still is very impressive in video gaming history. Not much games has really done it since Half-Life 2 has, which is kind of a shame. Well, you get to realize that you're actually not alone. You meet a man named Father Grigori. Basically, Father Grigori is the only survivor of Ravenholm, and he's basically helping Gordon get through Ravenholm, and even hands him a kick-ass weapon, which is the shotgun. This weapon fucking slaps. You want the zombies gone, use that beautiful weapon, bam! It's a really powerful weapon against any zombies. Combines, whatever, you name it. Father Grigori has traps set up all over Ravenholm, and he basically warns you ahead of time, and you can use it yourself. I mean, you can use a car, or whatever, hang a car to crush the zombies, or whatnot. It's very fun to use and everything, and it's very interesting puzzles on Ravenholm. Maneuvering through Ravenholm is basically just Father Grigori's traps and whatnot, and it works really well. It is a very impressive way of Source Engine and how the player interacts with the props. Now, basically going through Ravenholm, you're introduced to two new enemies as far as I'm concerned. The fast zombie, which also with the fast head crab, if you want to count that as well, which is very annoying hell to go against. Completely annoying. These things rush at you. They charge at you, does a few hits on you, and does a little small temporary stun afterwards, whatever the hell he does, and then basically attacks you again. The fast head crab completely hatches at you, tries to hit you a lot of times, and it's very fast. Gets annoying, but honestly, if you have a crowbar, it's not very hard to handle, unless you have a skill issue like Doc does. Now, the next enemy is the poison head crab and poison zombie. The poison zombie is fine, usually. It's a lot slower than the normal zombie, or the fast zombie, obviously. And they throw a poison head crab at you and breaks you down to 1 HP, which is what that poison head crab does. It basically poisons you to 1 HP of the game, and slowly heals up as the HEV suit tries to get rid of the poison. Basically, because of this, it can become a problem. You slowly heal back your health, but if there's a lot of fast head crabs, you can hit the little one-tap combo and you're dead. because you have 1 HP and the fast head crab completely runs at you and rushes you. Now, this is very smart of how Valve does this, and it really makes you on your feet a lot more of Ravenholm, and gives it more of a challenge instead of just slapping zombies in and calling it a day. Anyways, afterwards, once you do all the puzzles, you meet up with Father Grigori. Basically, you and him fight off the zombies together, and he pulls out the lever and say your final goodbyes. Who knows what happened, man? All you hear him is laughing away, hitting into fire. But honestly, in my opinion, this is one of my favorite chapters of the game. After you go through the mine, it takes you outside, introduces you finally to the Combine soldiers, unless you're counting the helicopter fights, which shows a Combine soldier. This basically just leads to the next chapter of the game. This chapter was a great way to show the power of Source Engine, and the gameplay is completely fun. Now, I could yap about Half-Life 2 all day of Source Engine and whatnot, but Doc needs his role, and obviously since this is his channel, and not mine, aka Go Stop Zone, if you want to check me out.
Thank you, Noah. But yeah, Half-Life 2's levels and sections are really, really cool. On the mission Sand Traps, I really like how this part where you have to play Frogger with the rocks so the antlions don't come off the sand and detect you. And later on, you can actually control these things and command them, which is really fucking cool and somewhat creepy. And this leads into my personal favorite level, since I didn't play Ravenholm, Nova Prospect. This Verrückt-looking prison is creepy, yet not as creepy as Ravenholm. Yeah, I know, I'm a fucking hypocrite. Half-Life 2's horror is a little different than usual, if you couldn't tell. Psychological horror is a motherfucker, let me tell you. This game is able to use the sounds and the atmosphere to make you think something's gonna happen, and then nothing happens. Unless you're like me and you shoot everything that moves. The Arkham games did this too, but I feel like Half-Life 2 just does it a bit better. The main gimmick of Nova Prospect is the fact that the prison is riddled with antlions and they are on your side. Later on, there's a couple defense sections where you place some turrets down and just kill everyone until Source decides to spawn Alex. It's a fantastic level in my opinion, and honestly, I think it might just be my favorite level in the entire game. Don't really have that many complaints with the game, aside from the terrible handling of the airboat. I guess if I had some nitpicks, it would be A, the crosshair is a bit too small but it didn't make the game any harder in my opinion. At long range, it can be a little hard to aim accurately. I played this game on a controller, so I had aim assist, and I couldn't really figure out how to zoom in. I know you can do it on keyboard and mouse, but I can't figure out how to do it with a controller. My second nitpick, I guess, would be this game overuses the gunship fights in my opinion. They reappear a good 4 or 5 times. It's not that they're not fun, but it's like, how many ships do these fuckers have? But apart from that, I don't really have any serious complaints about this game. The game wasn't stupidly difficult either. There were a couple times where I had to drop the difficulty to get through some boss fights. And by boss, I mean Striders. Honestly, I don't know why I didn't play this game sooner. This game is fucking immaculate. I will say though, the ending was a little fucking confusing. I'm sure it's explained more in episode 1. Like I said, if you guys want to see me cover that, I will. If not, I'm just going to play it anyway. But that was my review of Half-Life 2. Really, really fucking good game, if I'm going to be honest. During my playthrough, I've recorded some of it, like I said, with no one slipping in a call, so here's a little bit of the funny moments and dumb shit that happened.
I got this.
I don't trust you guys. You guys are fucking jackasses setting me up for a jump scare.
I will prove it to you that it is not a jump scare.
It is a jump scare. I don't even
No, it isn't. Fuck off, Noah. Fuck off.
Listen, what'd you take from the guy who speed ran Half-Life 2 all the time? Or would you take it from a nobody?
Fuck off.
Nah, I forget his name, but there's a character in Friday the 13th Part 2. He literally just stays at the bar. He's like, you know what? Killer at Crystal Lake, I'm gonna stay here and get drunk and live. That's why the pussy lives, because we're smart.
Yeah, it's not really being smart, it's just being sensible.
Same thing. Rad.
No, this is Pete.
I hate this fucking dog shit game. Fuck.
Yeah. Aim assist.
Platform jumping. Awesome. Fuck yeah. Gotta love platform first person jumpers. Awesome. You can tell that Ravenholm thing really affected me. I'm tilted as fuck.
Favorite fucking game.
That's what I'm doing.
I did Ravenholm for you. Fuck, man. I should have let you done that.
Fun game. I'm good. Fuck this game. I'm done. Chill. That's enough Half-Life for tonight. I'll continue tomorrow. I'm getting back on Skater XL. Alright, so with that out of the way, I just want to quickly say in this end monologue, thank you guys for 2,000 subscribers. That is, fucking insane to me. This part's unscripted, by the way, but seriously, guys, just thank you for clicking, watching, and commenting. You know, it means a lot to me, more than you actually know. I know you hear that from every YouTuber, but seriously, I mean it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any words. I'm just fucking so happy that we actually hit 2K. I'm hoping, you know, if to the future we eventually hit 5K, 10K, whatever. Yeah, I just want to say thank you guys. Whether you come here to watch me talk about wrestling games, skateboarding games, or if you just like my content as a whole and you don't care what I play, it means a lot. So, yeah, thank you guys for watching. And to any new people watching this, you know, consider subscribing, liking, go show love to my two friends, Slippy and Noah. Their channels will be in the description. And check out some of my other videos, just see if you like them, you know. But, yeah, that's the Half-Life 2 video. Great fucking game. Go play it. Yep, we're reviewing this game again. Now, if you've been here on this channel for a while, you know that this was the first re-review I ever posted to this channel. But that's actually not the first time I reviewed Def Jam Icon. I first reviewed this game back in March of 2023, which that video is terrible. Please do not watch it. Now, I've made way too many Def Jam Icon videos on this channel to count, and at this point, I'm just the Def Jam Icon guy. So, I'll put it to you like this in AVGN terms. This is the Jekyll of Hyde of my channel. Now, why don't we take a re-look back at Def Jam Icon? Alright, let me just address the elephant in the room. I like this game, but at the end of the day, it's still a terribly flawed and arguably terrible game. I think this game could have used a 6-month delay or even a year delay, and I'll talk more about that in the end of this video. But by reading some of the original comments on the original video, a lot of you guys genuinely like this game, and to me, that's awesome. I do think this game has some sort of weird resurgence happening where people are saying it's not that bad, which is very interesting to see. Now, it's interesting when writing this video, I couldn't find anything about Icon's development. All I could find that was sort of interesting was that originally the game was going to be called Def Jam Switch. But we can go off what we do know. The game was developed by EA Chicago and not Aki. EA Chicago made Fight Night Round 3, the first boxing game made for the 7th generation of consoles. And a lot of the Fight Night influences carry over into this game, like mixing up body and head blocks and the damage model made their way into this game. Now, we need to talk about this game's director, Hideo Sonoda. If you're watching this thinking, why does this game barely have any wrestling? Well, it's because of this man. Hideo himself stated that he didn't think that wrestling and hip-hop meshed well together. He clearly had never played the first two games. Oh, and he's the man behind this masterpiece.
You ever wonder what the bottom of an Avatar shoe looks like? Well, bam! There it is.
One of the biggest changes made to the gameplay model was that EA Chicago decided that they wanted to have the music feature a bigger role in the game, with the UI and stages all reacting to the bass of the music, and this is a stylistic choice that I actually really like. When a song is bumping in the background, and it makes you feel like you can feel the music, if that makes any sense. Now, the gameplay in Def Jam Icon has been heavily criticized for years, and maybe it's warranted. I don't feel it's that terrible, but at times it can be very clunky and weighty, if that makes any sense. For one, we have this game's brand new gimmick of the turntable. A lot of people don't like this, and I can see why. The game isn't really clear on how to do it, which is a very big problem when you introduce a brand new mechanic. But the premise is this: you hold down L2 and spin the right and left stick to change the song. Now, the idea is actually pretty cool, but the execution is kind of mediocre. And for the actual fighting, it's fine. Just fine. There's only 6 fighting styles that all have the same moves and grabs, meaning that someone like Young Jeezy is going to fight exactly like E40 with no, differences. Grabs are now performed by flicking up the right stick and hitting down the D-pad to do grapples and strikes. Now, there's not really that many wrestling moves. The only fighting style that has the wrestling moves is the beatboxer fighting style, which is kind of a shame, honestly. Even the roster gets a major downgrade with only 29 playable characters compared to Fight for New York's 60-something. What happened? I know that licensing can be a pain in the ass, but this is tragic. I do like this game's roster regardless, with some new rappers that didn't appear in any previous titles. Some of my all-time favorite rappers of all time, like T.I., Jeezy, and Game, make their only video game appearance. Well, minus the Game, because he was in 2K that one year. Some other video game debuts include the likes of Jim Jones, Paul Wall, Bun B, Mike Jones, and more. Ludacris, Method Man, and Redman appear in this game, making them the only artists to appear in all 3 mainline Def Jam games. There's actually a secret unlockable character. This game features Fat Joe. If you put in a cheat code to unlock him, you can actually play as Joey Crack himself, but it can't be saved. Meaning, every time you want to use Fat Joe when you restart the game, you have to put the code in. I don't know if they want this on purpose or they forgot how to make it save and ran out of time, but overall, I do kind of like how this game has a secret unlockable. Now, I think at times the gameplay can be fine and very fluid, but I also understand and even agree with the criticism this game's combat gets. Another criticism is this game's lack of venues. With only 7, it's pretty bad. Yeah, 106 in Park is cool, but why is there only this many? What happened? Like, I'm no game dev, I have no experience in game development at all, but why were they lacking this much content? And the visuals are a mixed bag. It looks like a 2007 EA game. Like, they insist on putting these god-awful filters on the screen sometimes. It'll either be black and white, color flip, or oversaturated.
Like, how would you like it if I conducted the rest of the review like this? No, you wouldn't, would you?
The characters look really good, however, with their faces actually looking like them in semi-realistic form. Now, one of the many charms that Fight for New York had, in my opinion, was that they looked like the rappers, but in a cartoony art style, if that makes any sense. The story mode, in my opinion, is actually pretty good. Build a Label sees you create a custom character to your liking, and pretty much become a record executive, signing talent and managing the finances towards their music. Clearly, this game has nothing to do with Fight for New York story-wise, but sometimes the custom character will shout "You ain't crow" during fights, which is a cool little reference. And the character customization is actually really good here, with individual sliders akin to Saints Row's detailed customization. Now, sadly, we don't get to choose a player voice, but the voice actor Avery Waddell does do a great job, in my opinion. Even the player customization, like their outfits, is great, with it having a layers feature where any shirt can be worn under any hoodie or jacket. They were able to license a bunch of real-life clothing brands such as Adidas, 8732, which was actually Jeezy's clothing line, Echo, and even Jordan brand. This game features every Air Jordan shoe up to 21, with some of them having alternate colorways. Even this game's jewelry looks good and clear. Tattoos are also present, but they kinda suck, and I really am kinda nitpicking here, but I wish we could have gotten sleeves like resizing tattoos, but honestly, for something that small, it's fine. But the actual main story involved is pretty good. Like I said, you manage finances, you put out people's music, and obviously get into fistfights. I think it's funny that the main character is played by Anthony Anderson, Troy Dollar, which a lot of y'all said that he was a bad fit for the villain, but I actually thought he did a pretty good job in his role, but that's just my opinion.
Now, obviously, there was no sequel because of how poorly Icon 1 did, but maybe you've potentially heard of Icon 2 put on the internet. Well, I played it. I have played the prototype of Def Jam Icon 2. If you remember January of 2024, I made a video talking about some of the stuff that was going to be in Icon 2 off the wiki. Well, someone commented on my video, said they had a playable version. Thanks to the uploader Kenzo Games, you can now play the prototype of Icon 2 on a Xenia or Xbox 360 emulator. So let's talk about what Icon 2 could have potentially been.
Well, it's obviously a prototype, so there isn't much to talk about, but what we can talk about is pretty interesting. Judging by the gameplay and me playing it myself, I can honestly say this could have been a big improvement upon Icon 1. It still keeps the music theme from Icon, the first game, but it looks cool in my opinion. Now, this prototype only features 3 game modes: Throwdown, which is your basic fight mode, Obey, which is what I guess would have been the game's story mode, and UCM, which crashes the game. Jumping into the gameplay, there are only 2 selectable characters, TI and Playa. The gameplay feels completely different as the controls aren't the same, and bringing up the controls option just brings up Icon 1's layout as a placeholder. As you can see, the gameplay is more fast and arcade-like, and we even have the return of actual wrestling moves, which is nice to see. It also appears that there's no DJ mechanic in this game, so it either was not going to come back or just was not developed yet. Selecting Obey, it brings you into a fight where you play as the Playa character and fight TI, which, that's really it. One of the pro tips also says wear deodorant, which I find to be random as hell, but also oddly hilarious. Now, one thing I also noticed is that the AI was not programmed to fight back. It just lets you sit there and wail on it, which, again, this is a prototype, so I can't really put this as a complaint. But from what we do have, I actually like where this game was going, adding some more of the wrestling elements back, but combining... I would like to think it was going to combine Icon 1 with Fight for New York, but that's probably completely inaccurate, and no former EA dev has talked about what this game was going to be, and they probably never will, so we'll just have to speculate.
I think it's a great shame that this game flopped and that Icon 2 didn't come out, as I think that Icon 2 could have been a better version of Icon 1. But leave your own opinion on what you think about this game's lasting legacy, and if you're new here, check out some of my other reviews, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.
In 2007, EA and Black Box would completely change the skateboarding games market with the first EA Skate. At this point in time, there had only been one mainline skateboarding game in Neversoft's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. While THPS was a more arcade and goofy take on skateboarding, EA and Black Box set out to make a more realistic and grounded take on the sport. Outside of 1999's Thrasher Skate and Destroy, this had never really been successfully accomplished. When Skate did release in September of 2007, dropping a month before that year's Tony Hawk game, it received praise and critical acclaim, even outselling that year's Tony Hawk game nearly 2-1. To be fair, by this point, the Tony Hawk games were starting to become stale, and plus, Skate's Lick It system was a way more enjoyable system in my personal opinion. I mean, think about it, apart from the later Tony Hawk remakes, every major skateboarding game that's come out in the past 10 years has used some form of the sticks. But it wouldn't be long before the sequel would release. Officially announced in May of 2008, Skate 2 was dead set on improving the small issues with the first game and improving in a big way. During its development, the Wii and DS would get its own spin-off called Skate It, which, I mean, it's alright, you can skip it in my opinion. Releasing fully in January of 2009, however, Skate 2 would, in my opinion, become the best skateboarding game ever made. It's a pretty consensus opinion also, but it's also the best entry in the Skate franchise. 3 is my all-time favorite game, but I will even admit that 2 to me is the superior game in the series. So let's take a retrospective look at Skate 2. I played this on the Xbox One and PS3 for the DLCs. If you can get the Xbox version, I think you should because it looks better and runs better on both the 360 and the modern consoles.
Lean on me when the times are bad.
So our story begins with another great live action intro in prison. Your character is actually being released from prison, and why we actually don't have an answer to that yet. You get to see all the pros in prison, and yeah, that one did not age well, sadly. Once released, we link back up with Rudda, who is now an actual physical being instead of a voice behind the camera. He still does that a lot, but he actually appears here, which is nice. He reveals that in the time since the first game, the city was completely rebuilt by a big corporation. Huh. Player character gets out of prison and returns to a completely redone city. That sounds very familiar, doesn't it? You create your skater and relearn the bearings of the game, and it's here where Skate 2 introduces the feature to get off the board. They even give you an achievement for doing so, which I have already unlocked. The walking is very jank and stiff. All it needs is a fixed camera, and this would be another Resident Evil game. Okay, jokes aside, the ability to walk is greatly appreciated since it was absent in the first game. They even allow you to walk up and move objects, which is something that the game goes out of its way to do a lot. We meet up with Slappy, who now owns his own skate park in one of the best locations in the entire game in my opinion. The overall story itself is relatively the same as Skate 1, just get coverage and earn sponsorships. And there's 2 separate paths with the Skateboard Mag and Thrasher once again. I will say, I really appreciate the overall grungy and rebellious vibe of Skate 2. The whole thing is like fighting against Mongo Corp. Skate stopping everything and the skaters trying to fight back. The Skateboard Mag Pass sees you and real-life photographer Atiba skating in no skate zones and running from security, and sort of a role reversal from the first game with Thrasher. And the entire Skateboard Mag arc does one of the coolest things in any game in my opinion. You're trying to air through the statue, but the place is covered with security, so Atiba calls in Big Black as counter security, which is a great callback to the DC video. And this is actually a great time to talk about the services. Services are a favor you can call in the game for a price. There's Big Black, who will provide counter security and no skate zones, and he does work, pun intended. Mike from the first game, who removes skate stoppers, which is also a new feature in the game. I only really had to do this once. And Sammy, who drains pools for you to skate. Pools are actually a big part of the Thrasher missions. In order to get into a pool party, you have to find 3 pools for Dare Never to skate. At the end of the Thrasher arc, you go down this giant dam to do a 540, and it's revealed you got arrested trying to escape this thing, and you were in prison for 5 years. Meaning this game will be set in 2012. For a skateboarding game, the story is simple enough to follow, and I don't really have any complaints. Skate 2 features a wide variety of challenges to keep the player engaged. Photo challenges are self-explanatory enough. Do this trick for a photo. I always try to do something that's realistic as possible, but some of the photos really suck in this game. Like, you look at actual skate photos and you can see like the gap or whatever it is, but here they're like way too zoomed in. The third game fixed this and we were able to zoom in and out of the photo, which I really liked. And film challenges. These are the majority of what the Skateboard Mag and Thrasher missions consist of. The only real bad challenge was this one Thrasher one and the Skateboard Mag one. There's a Thrasher mission where you need to do a hand plant off a backboard. Seems simple enough, but this shit just doesn't work. You can try and fail to do it legit. What you actually need to do is grab this picnic table and then put the ramp on it and it will count. I don't know how this got past QA, but thankfully we have a workaround. The other really annoying photo challenge is the final Skateboard Mag challenge, not because of the challenge itself, but because of the security. The final SB Mag challenge sees you gap the Mongo Corp statue, but security is heavy. Big Black is helping you, but the problem is that they all crowd the area where we need to pop, and they move and smack the rail, and it's just an annoying mess. I got this bullshit ollie off of it on it, but I didn't care. I just wanted to move on. Pro challenges return, and I like these. Sadly, the dope mini video parts from Skate 1 aren't here anymore, but the skaters still appear in cutscenes and provide their own voices.
I'm postcards, your email.
How is that supposed to help us get footage?
And the challenges, I feel, represent that skater well. Like, Jake Brown wants you to do a 540 over a gap, and Terry Kennedy wants you to skate some rails. I will say, I think it's hilarious that in Skate 1, Rob Dyrdek's pro challenge is a 360 flip the crooked grind. I remember struggling with this challenge a lot, and I'm sure other people did as well. So I think it's hilarious that once again his challenge includes a 360 flip. But I'm sure you're wanting to see me talk about the infamous Skate 2 challenge. Can you spell girl? It's a game of skate with Eric Costin and Mike Carroll, and yeah, this challenge is fucking stupid. For the sake of the video, I did try to beat it legit, and no, that shit wasn't happening. The main problem is it's 3 people, so if you bail, well then it's game over, and because these are pros in the game of skate, they're gonna land even the harder tricks. Now, there's 2 ways to complete this challenge. There is just spamming 540s, which the AI cannot do, or there's the glitch with the other rail. I did the version with the 540s. But if you can somehow beat this challenge, EA decided to be chuckle fucks and swap the continue and retry button. That's so mean, but also hilarious, so props to you, EA. The Mark Johnson challenge also gave me a lot of trouble and still does somewhat, but it is a fun challenge, so it gets a pass. On the Spot is a challenge that isn't technically marked on the map, you just kind of have to find it on your own, and it works off scores. Set the previous score to own it, and then beat your own score to kill it. Once this is done, you unlock that spot for party play, which is something I will talk about later. Contests return, with this time Street and Vert contests being separated. Seb, who you may know now from the Skate 4 development updates, hosts the Street contest, and Cuz hosts the Vert contest. I don't really think I need to explain how a contest works, but I like how they do switch up the actual modes in here. Like, yeah, there's best score, best trick, but we also have longest grind and total spin directions, which is new and refreshing. Once you beat all of the major contests, you get one final one for both categories. The finale to the Street contest is the Goofy vs. Regular contest, and for the Vert, it's a giant mega contest in the stadium. Sadly, they could not get the X Games license again, so that remains in Skate 1. Also have some bonus challenges. These aren't necessarily that important, but they focus on Rob Dyrdek and Danny Way. Rob's challenges consist of doing gestures while doing grinds, or doing 5 different kinds of grinds. Admittedly, these are kind of fun, but clearly this was EA just trying to capitalize off Rob's MTV endeavors, which is something I'll also get into later with the DLC. And the DUA challenges are just Tony Hawk style challenges, like literally just jump off this skyscraper into a bowl and do a 900. That's not an actual challenge, I'm using an example, but that's basically what the point is. And last and certainly least, we have the death races. I've never liked these things. In fact, apart from Skate 1, because you have to do them, I skip these every time I play through Skate 2 and 3. But for the sake of the video, I went ahead and played them all in 100% of the game. They aren't nearly as bad as they are in Skate 1, but my biggest problem with the death races is there's just too much that can happen that isn't your fault. Mainly the cars. If you even sniff a vehicle, bail. Also, the rubber banding is god-awful. Like, look here, I'm in the lead and the person behind me falls and teleports at Mach speed right in front of me. That's not fair! I hate these things, but I admit they're not too terrible. But the way they work in the game is there's these gates you have to go through. You don't necessarily have to hit every gate, but there's a timer. So if you just ignore all of them, you're gonna lose by a timer, which I think is dumb. Why is there a timer in a racing game? Anyway, yeah, fuck death races.
Take me through the centuries to supersonic years. Electrifying enemy is drowning in his tears.
New San Vanalona might honestly be the greatest map ever put into a skateboarding game. It's a great evolution of Skate 1's version. We lose the suburbs, but gain an entire mountain area. And a lot of the best spots from Skate 1 remain, like the Matrix Plaza. And the map really does reflect the style of the game. Areas like the Res and Old Town are rugged and gritty, while downtown is all clean and shiny and white. And I would assume this is a personal thing from Black Box. And you can increase the map with property. Skate 2 actually allows you to purchase property. For 50k, you can buy the Fun Track, which is add-on to the Mega Park, and pretty damn fun. And for 200k, you can buy the Monster Skate Park, which is actually one of the best skate parks in the series, if I'm going to be honest. And while we're on the subject, I guess I will talk about the DLC. For the first time, Skate got its own DLC selection. While the footage you've seen so far is all captured on the Xbox One, I own the DLCs on PS3, so excuse the slightly worse quality. The San Van pack brings back some of the best spots from Skate 1. With the community center, being able to play this in Skate 2 is refreshing. I like how they actually included the little subway area at the bottom. Oliver Elementary returns with the ability to get off your board. You can now actually skate on the roofs of the little building, which is nice to see. And the Parquet, which has the Gons Gap. And that's all that needs to be said on how cool it is. The Maloof Money Cup, which at the time was a major contest, almost like SLS in a way, it has its own dedicated street and vert contests. The street contest, I'm pretty sure we just reused in Skate 3, but it's pretty fun still, and the vert contest. And finally, my favorite, and probably the best DLC in the series next to the Hawaiian Dream, is the Fantasy Factory DLC. Alright, I'm gonna fanboy for a bit, but this DLC for me is super nostalgic. I grew up watching all the Dyrdek shows on MTV, so when I learned this game had a DLC around it, I instantly bought it. Now, they could have just added the warehouse and call it a day, but no, Black Box actually added an entire skatable roof area, some spots around the factory, and even the LA ditch, which is incredibly fun to skate. The Fantasy Factory DLC has its own set of challenges, which is always cool, and now that it's been 10 years since the show ended, and being able to skate this virtually is bittersweet. I always wanted to skate the real thing, but I was too young and I suck at skating, so yeah. The challenges in the Fantasy Factory DLC aren't that bad, but there's one challenge, Platform Jumper, that can be very annoying. I had to get very creative to beat this. I love this DLC to death, man. If they added the foam pit, that would make this the greatest DLC in the history of our sport.
LL Cool J is hard as hell. Battle anybody, I don't care, you tell. I excel, they all fail. Gonna cocktail double L, must rock my bells.
Aside from career mode, there's really only 2 game modes, as the online sadly was shut down a few years back. Party play is the local multiplayer mode, and yeah, I have no friends, so I'll be doing the solo session. There are 3 types in party play: Spot Battle, where you just gain the most points, Game of Skate, and Hall of Meat. I haven't mentioned it yet, but Hall of Meat gets a complete overhaul here. Now when you bail, you get a score depending on what you did, and if you break a bone, you get a full statistical breakdown of your slam, which I think is the greatest thing ever, just gonna be honest. A Hall of Meat in party play works similar to the way it did in Skate 3, just get the most points on a bail. And then the other game mode is Free Skate, which to me is just the best way to play these games. Just find your own spots and skate it.
Rolling stones in the rap game, not bragging. Lips bigger than Jagger, not sagging. Spell it backwards, I'ma leave it at that. That ain't got nothing to do with rap.
The customization in this game is honestly pretty good. This was the first EA Skate game to also allow you to play as a female, which is nice, and the cosmetics themselves are fine. Real brands appear like Ice Cream and DC, and get this, I know this is crazy EA, but get this! You can actually unlock the cosmetics by just playing the fucking game! I'm not gonna let it go, man. The new skate shouldn't have fucking loot boxes and microtransactions for, like, actual skate brands. I'm just gonna be honest. But it's amazing that the system works flawlessly. Jokes aside, but with all that being said, Skate 2, in my opinion, is the best skateboarding game ever made. I know some people disagree and say Tony Hawk 2 or 3, and that's fine. But what I think is for certain is that 2 is the best EA Skate game. I love 3 to death, like I said, but I will admit that 2 does a lot of things better than 3. Honestly, if this game had a hardcore mode and the replay stuff wasn't DLC, I'd never touch Skate 3 again. Dead serious. These games are also special to me because they're what got me into skating. I was never great at it. I can do the stationary ollie here and there, but I still go out and just ride my board from time to time. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this retrospective look on Skate 2. I'm considering remaking my Skate 1 and 3 videos because I don't think they're that good anymore. So let me know what your thoughts on about that. And yeah, do all the YouTuber stuff. I'm trying to hit 2,000 subs before the year ends. And yeah, I'll just see you guys in the next video. Peace. WWE 12 reinvented the wheel, WWE 13 took us back in time, and now WWE 2K14 was about to give us one final main event on the 7th generation of consoles. In early 2013, publisher THQ, who was responsible for publishing every major WWF/E game since 1999, went under. All of their major licenses went to other companies, and for better and later worse, the WWE games went to 2K. But since this game was already in active development, we still got one last THQ and Yuke's game. Also, this year saw the release of the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and all the major sports games jumped on next gen. But WWE stayed back, and honestly, thank God for that.
With all this being said, let's take a look at one of the most beloved WWE games and see how it holds up in the year 2025.
Just like last time, this game still does feel like WWE 12, but faster and more arcadey. I feel it's one of those things that I really can't explain, but I can certainly tell you this game has been sped up and slightly tweaked in a very good way. Matches in this game can feel like a realistic TV match, or if you fuck around with the pacing options, you can just have a chaotic brawl like the SmackDown games on the PlayStation 2. This game also has a stupid amount of match types. Tables? Check. Hell in a Cell? Check. I Quit? Yep. Figure Fantasy? Nope. Well, shit. Even matches like the Inferno match technically make their last appearances here. Nope. Y'all don't count. You're all ports. 2K14 also has one of the deepest creation suites ever, and I'm about to drop a hot take here, but in a way, I feel this suite is better than the current ones. Now, don't get me wrong, we have a lot of useful shit now. Image uploaders and community creations, which, while CC wasn't around in 2013, it wasn't nearly as close to what it is now to my knowledge. But check this out, I made this dope Jeff Hardy call, just with sliders and a call formula. No custom images, no face textures, just in-game slides. And you can make a lot of dope calls depending on if you follow the formula correctly, and they look sick as hell in-game. This was also the first year that allowed you to customize the actual superstars outside of superstar threads. They even made a DLC for this that sadly cannot be obtained anymore, and that's something that I'll bitch about later in the video. But back to the Jeff Hardy call, how are you going to make the arm sleeves? Well, my friends, this is where the paint tool comes in. Just make them there and bam. Ignore the wrong skin tone, I fucked up the color key. But just by messing around with the sliders, you can pretty much make anybody, honestly. And on the other side of creation, we have the last time we'd ever get create a story mode. Now, as I said in my SmackDown vs. Raw 2010 review, I never really used to play this mode. It wasn't until about 2016 or so that I discovered some of the create a story videos on YouTube. I think the main person who uploaded them was a guy by the name of Teaming Tubby Emu. But yeah, create a story is a mode that is deeply missed by the community, and I can see why. I never really messed with the mode. I did fuck around a little bit for this video, but was never really my thing. But if you guys have some funny creative story memories, put them down in the comments. I want to hear them. But this creation suite is legendary. All the work that SVR 2010 did to overhaul the call suite paid off here, and even to this day, there are people that are making incredible cause of current superstars. Create Arena also returns, and they kind of fucked it up, not in like an objective way. For some reason, you can't stretch a logo all the way on the apron, and to me, that's pretty annoying, but I'm sure that doesn't really matter to some people. There's also a created championship, and, well, it's alright, I guess. There's a lot of limited images to use, in my opinion, but it does get better as the games go on. Now, let's cut all of this filler shit and talk about the two biggest and most memorable parts of this game. In WWE 13, THQ and Yuke's introduced the Attitude Mode, a showcase that told the story of the second biggest boom period in professional wrestling. So what does 2K14 do to top it? Well, how about 30 damn years of WrestleMania? The 30 years of WrestleMania mode is one of the most ambitious and best modes in any wrestling game. It's a fully detailed showcase mode that replays some of the best matches of over 30 WrestleManias. And get this, they actually had over 40 matches in this mode. 2K, you dumb fucks, had one job. But they actually managed to fit over 40 matches from technically 29 WrestleManias because 30 hadn't happened yet, but there is a custom 30 arena in the game. But the dedication in this mode, it should be applauded. Just like 13's Attitude Mode, 30 Years has its own chapter, starting off with the Hulkamania chapter, which obviously follows guys like Hulk Hogan, Andre, Savage, etc. This is the chapter that's going to have your Hogan vs. Andres, moments like Macho Man winning the title at Mania 4. Speaking of Macho Man, this chapter features their match at WrestleMania 5, and they actually recreated the entire promo in-game. That is fucking amazing.
You're right. You don't know anything about the Macho Man, Randy Savage, and where I'm coming from. Because it's mind-boggling to you, yeah. How one man could make it to the top all by myself. No pukesters helping me to the left, and no pukesters helping me to the right. Didn't need them then, don't need them now.
But just like WWE 13's Attitude Mode, there are certain objectives that need to be hit sometimes, and sometimes just as simple as hitting your finish and win. Other times the CPU will literally rewrite history.
What a shot to the hitman! Oh man, there might be no getting up from that. And he hits a big time leg drop. Here's a cover. Here's one.
Once again, the in-game cutscenes return, and I'd argue the cutscenes are better here than 13. There's a lot of small details in these cutscenes that I feel the devs need to be applauded for. I mentioned the Macho Man promo being remade, okay? How about the WrestleMania 10 promo with Razor and Shawn?
A historical event, WrestleMania 10, Madison Square Garden, Sunday afternoon, March 20th, with an unprecedented match. And who better to give it to you? Shawn Michaels, a ladder match. 2 belts hanging at the top of Madison Square Garden, along with all those people hanging from the rafters. The Heartbreak Kid is going to be up there taking what is rightfully his, the IC belt.
Yo, boy toy, you say you're the real champ? I say I am. Too much confusion. WrestleMania 10, Chico? Somebody gonna decide. If it takes a ladder, man, no problem. There's no rules, no ref, no timing. Somebody, Chico, leaves WrestleMania the real champ.
How about Savage and Steamboat actually using the carts at WrestleMania 3? Or jumping forward some years, when Edge spears Mick Foley through the table, you can see him visibly shaking. Or my personal favorite, when Shawn Michaels superkicks Ric Flair, he's actually crying. The detail in these cutscenes is fucking immaculate, and it's always nice to see the devs go that extra mile to make shit more accurate.
I have some complaints. 30 Years of WrestleMania loves its QuickTime events, and sometimes it'll just be, a ref bump, and others it'll be the actual ending to a match, which is really cool to see, but this game does them way too damn much. QuickTime Event Mania is running wild, brother, and you better not fuck them up. My second complaint is the hidden objectives. Now, these aren't necessarily a bad thing, but sometimes they just flat out don't spawn or work.
The chair, you're right there at the apron. Fuck, hold on. Alright, dude, fuck this. We're just gonna move on. I'll unlock this shit later. This mode, while being kind of long, is a very enjoyable playthrough, and I never found it to be boring or repetitive apart from the QuickTime events. The match selection is also great, but I feel like some matches had to have made it in. Like, why is there not a single Eddie Guerrero match in this showcase? You mean to tell me you couldn't just do Ray vs. Eddie at 21? And he's in the game, by the way. It's not like he's not here. When you really sit down and think about it, though, this is just a better version of Legends of WrestleMania, which I kind of want to review, but you gotta let me know if y'all want to see that. But yeah, still to this day, 30 Years of WrestleMania is a banger showcase. Can't say the same for 40 years.
Now, as a man who considers himself a connoisseur of wrestling attires, I really appreciate how Yuke's corrected the mistake they made in WWE 13 by actually just making new models and attires for the characters. I'd also like to applaud the fact that since 2010, Yuke's have been on a great gaming streak. Wait a minute. Did I say streak?
Yeah, so there is a second mode hidden in 30 Years of WrestleMania. The Undertaker's Defeat the Streak mode, and it's exactly what it sounds like. And it's a separate thing for a good reason, because the Undertaker is cracked here. He's twice as strong as base Undertaker, and he has all sorts of special animations and shit. You go to pick him up off the ground, Hell's Gate. You think big shit's popping? Nope, lights go out, Tombstone. This is the WWE Games version of Mortal Kombat 2 Shao Kahn, or any other bullshit fighting game boss. Now, there's two ways to beat Taker here. There's the traditional 5-star match way to do it, or there's the bullshit way. I did the bullshit way first on stream. The bullshit way is purposely staying on the outside where he can't pin or submit you and just spamming weapons since it is no DQ. And while I am calling it the bullshit way as a joke, it is kind of cheesy. Now, the legit way is actually taking him head on and just actually taking, the fight. It's way harder. When I did it the bullshit way, I beat Taker second try. But when I recorded the legit way, it took me over an hour. I got very close with a lot of people. The closest I got was with my Kurt Angle call, but even that failed. Finally, I beat Undertaker with Brock Lesnar. No, the irony's not lost on me. Now, there's some cool secret features, like if you select a former Undertaker opponent, let's say Randy Orton, the game will auto-select that specific WrestleMania, so in my case, it would be 21. There's also a second mode called Defend the Streak that isn't nearly as memorable in my opinion. It's just a slobber knocker mode from the SmackDown Just Bring It game. Not terrible, but I think Defeat the Streak mode is 100 times more iconic. Now, like I mentioned before, I kind of hate how DLC is gone for the game, and now I understand why they do delist this shit, but this game specifically had a lot of dope-ass DLC. The Ultimate Warrior, who was the pre-order bonus, is only playable in 30 years if you didn't get him back in 2013. Even a fuck ton of the NWO is here. Hall and Nash, Kurt Hennig, the Giant. The fucking Giant of all people. Now, I'm pretty sure you can get the DLC easy through emulation, which I might look into, but still, if the DLC ever became available somehow, I would 100% get it. But to conclude, 2K14 is one of the best wrestling games ever made. It's got one of the most complete rosters ever and has some of the deepest content in any game. In a way, to some people, this is the ideal wrestling game. Arcade mixed with simulation. It's the perfect mix. But
somehow, 2K managed to fuck it up. Next time, we'll be jumping to the Xbox One to take a look at 2K's botched debut on 8th generation consoles with WWE 2K15. Now, if you're interested in checking out some of my more other content, I have videos on this side of the screen. I've already reviewed 12 and 13, so go check those out if you haven't. And also, I've reviewed SmackDown vs. Raw, every game in one video, actually. And I don't really plug it, but I guess go follow me on Twitter, I guess. If you don't, oh well. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you in the next review.
EA Sports UFC 2, arguably the best EA UFC game. This game holds a special place in many gamers' hearts due to the crazy amount of flash KOs and knockout animations. Now, this is not a review of the game by any means, this is in fact a challenge.
So recently, I was just minding my own business streaming on Twitch. I was just streaming some EA UFC 2, and two people in my chat, my good friend Gwen and Ian from Sickle Six Entertainment, had a challenge for me. Do a career mode on the hardest difficulty with one catch. I have to use CM Punk. Now, there's no real rules for this besides the fact that it has to be on Pro, which is the hardest difficulty, and I can't restart. Apart from that, I can do whatever I want. If I want to give Punk for the craziest kicks ever, I can do that. Now, granted, CM Punk in real life didn't have the best UFC career, so let's see how he does where I'm the controlling factor. By the way, I'd like to point out that there's going to be a lot of calves in this career mode. It's not because I was just picking easy fights, that's literally all the game gave me 9 times out of 10. Anytime I had the option to fight someone real, I took it, so discretion on that.
Our journey begins on the Ultimate Fighter. We have our first fight to even get on the show where we destroy our opponent on the feet, gain a knockout in the first round. We are then selected number 1 by Team Tate. Our second fight saw pretty much go everywhere in the fight. Punk was finding success on the feet before he was taken down. Punk would attempt a guillotine with no success, showing holes in his ground game. The fight was able to get back up to the feet where Punk kept finding success with punches, and the fight actually went to the clinch where Punk was able to secure a takedown, gain the fight to the ground, and end the fight with hammer fist. In the quarterfinal fight, our opponent was more defensive and evasive, but Punk was able to connect with a head kick and a flurry of rushing punches to get the knockout. With Punk now in the semifinals, he would face off one of his teammates. Punk went in for a glove touch, and the opponent did not show the same respect. So I repaid this gesture with a flurry of punches and a head kick knockout. Competing in the finals of the Ultimate Fighter, Punk now had a chance to show people he could compete in the UFC, and become one of the few pro wrestlers who successfully make the switch to mixed martial arts, joining the likes of Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar. I made quick work of my opponent, dropping him with a mean uppercut and winning with some hammer fists.
He just rocked him with that hammer fist. Oh, he's hurt. That's it. It's all over. It is all over.
By this point, you're probably thinking, there's no way I'm on Pro, because I'm just running through these guys, and for that I say, I don't know what to tell you. I double-checked multiple times to make sure it was on Pro.
Now fully in the UFC, it was time for Punk to make his debut as a UFC welterweight. In his first fight on a UFC card, Punk struggled in the beginning, getting taken down and nearly submitted. Once back on the feet, Punk started to land combinations, eventually rocking his opponent with an uppercut and rushing him with wild hooks, winning the fight by KO. In his second fight, Punk would struggle on the feet, eating a ton of body shots. In the closing seconds of the first round, he did manage to secure a takedown, saving himself. In the second round, Punk did connect with a couple of head kicks and punches to drop his opponent and end the fight with a hammer fist on the ground. It was clear that Punk was becoming one of the best strikers in the welterweight division. After picking up 2 more knockout victories, I suffered my first loss. After dropping my opponent and rushing in against a wrestler, mind you, I ended up getting defeated by elbows from the mouth, and the same thing would happen in the next fight. Now on a 2-fight losing streak, Punk would really need to get back to his winning ways, and he would in his next fight, getting a knockout in the first round. It was starting to become evident that Punk was a great striker but had no answer on the ground. I would go on a win streak before getting knocked out by a crane kick straight out of the Karate Kid. Punk would rebound, however, getting a knockout in his next fight in the very first round. After 2 wins, I rematched the last person to defeat him, and after a back and forth war on the feet, Punk would get his opponent back to the cage and would rush him with punches for the knockout. Punk would get one more fight before fighting his biggest test in the UFC in Matt Brown. The 2 exchanged strikes before Matt took Punk's back and submitted him with a standing rear naked choke. Punk would rebound, however, getting a knockout in his next fight by a beautiful spinning heel kick. After this, Punk would be booked against his next big test in Johnny Hendricks, and Punk would take his training extra serious so he wouldn't be finished so quickly against another elite fighter. It wouldn't matter though because Hendrix would connect with a powerful uppercut to make Punk go to sleep.
You got knocked the fuck out!
I did pick up a few more wins before getting to fight another big name in Kelvin Gastelum. With Kelvin being a wrestler, I wanted to be more cautious and not be so aggressive with my strikes. I was getting the better of the stand-up, and I did notice this in the game that the game kind of bugged, so like when he would clinch, he couldn't do any transitions, I couldn't do any transitions, so the game kind of just had us stuck there until the ref separated us, which I actually think was pretty helpful. In the second round, I managed to catch Kelvin with a perfectly timed head kick for the knockout. Finally, CM Punk had beaten a real elite fighter. Thankfully, the game decided to give me some real fighters to select. I had the option to rematch both Matt Brown and Johnny Hendricks, but I decided to take a fight against Gunnar Nelson instead. The first round was an aggressive stand-up war. Gunnar was able to get a takedown and almost submitted me with the North-style choke, but I escaped thankfully. I brought the fight back to defeat, and in round 2, Gunnar got me to the ground and threw ground pound to defeat me. It was my clear biggest weakness in this game, was the ground due to me sucking at it and because I put way too much faith in my stand-up. And right after this, the game decided to force me to fight Damian Maya, who was the last person I would want to fight, by the way. But I had to take it. Not to mention, the game turned heel on me by shortening my training camp. As expected, I did lose the fight by KO shockingly, and I was expecting that Maya to submit me, which he almost did. After this, the game felt pity and decided to give me calves again, which, for the sake of the video, I'll just be glossing over the rest of the calf fights because this is getting stupid. My next big fight was against Mike Pyle. I had the edge in the stand-up while he had the better grappling, so my goal was to try and keep it standing.
The kick lands, he's hurt, he's down!
Yeah, we're not off to a good start. During the first round, whenever I wasn't struggling to get off my back, I was getting good kicks and combinations, and 3 minutes into the first round, I finally had the option to rematch Hendricks, so I took it. I wanted to be as patient as possible to avoid another uppercut KO in the first round. That didn't go great as he kept taking me down and grappling me, which is not what I want going into the second round. I wanted to try and catch him with a nice combo, and then deja vu set in, sadly. I would get a rematch against Mike Pyle, where he actually finished the same way Matt Brown did, which by this point I kind of thought was bullshit, because at this point in the game I had pretty good submission defense. But, oh well. Finally, after a couple more calf fights, I finally got another fight challenge against Roy McDonald, which I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of hyped for, and then reality set in when I got knocked the f*** out in like 40 seconds into the fight. My leg bent the wrong way and everything. I got crow-copped. You truly hate to see it. And this will be my last real fight, as the game had me fight a calf and I still got finished in the first round, and that would be the last time that fans would see the straight edge superstar in the octagon. During my playthrough, I went 22-13, which, while not great, is still positive, so I will take it.
Alright, so I said I put a knockout montage at the end of the video, so here it is. Enjoy.
The contour personality. I know your anger, I know your dreams. I've been everything you wanna be. Oh, I'm the contour personality. Like Mussolini and Kennedy. I'm the contour personality. The cult of personality, the cult of personality. Neon lights, Nobel Prize winner me. to be. I'm the smiling face on your TV. Oh, I'm the cult of personality. I exploit you, still you love me. I tell you one and one makes three. Oh, I'm the cult of personality. Like Joseph Stalin and Gandhi. Oh, I'm the cult of personality. The cult of personality. The cult of personality. Neon lights, Nobel Prize. When a leader speaks, that leader dies. You won't have to follow me. Only you can set you free. To be.
I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had more fun making it than I thought it was going to be. I honestly thought I was going to hate this challenge with how hard it was expected to be. It wasn't that hard. Granted, I did just fight Cass, which does kind of suck in my opinion. I wish I had gotten more real people to fight. But we still finished with a positive record, so I'm happy about that. Go check out the channels down in the description because this is their idea. This is entirely their whole deal. I'm not going to, not give credit where it's due. And if you're new to my channel, maybe check out some of my game reviews. I just did a review of all the UFC Undisputed games, so go check that out. Go show that some love. And, yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Peace! Okay, so we're looking at another wrestling game today, and it's a bad one. Now, don't worry, it's not Def Jam Icon again. Today, we're looking at Raw 2 for the original Xbox. Now, this game came out back in a time when the three main consoles, that being the PlayStation 2, the GameCube, and the original Xbox, all had their own wrestling game series. Now, obviously, the PlayStation had the iconic SmackDown series, which later graduated to the SmackDown vs. Raw series, so they were eating good. GameCube had the WrestleMania games and later Day of Reckoning, and the Xbox had Raw. Now we're skipping Raw 1. Raw 1 came out back in 2002 and it's honestly a piece of shit. Like, it's worse than many games I've played before, so we're just gonna skip it. Now, Raw 2 released the next year in 2003, and while being an improvement, it still somehow gets a lot wrong.
Quick little sidebar before we start, my original Xbox does not work anymore, so I'm playing this through the Zemu emulator. So if I say R1, it's because I'm using a PlayStation controller. Now, to be positive for a minute, we do have some positives about this game that I think make this game unique to any other wrestling game at the time. First, we have one of the most impressive rosters in a wrestling game. Everybody who was anybody in 2003 is here, and I mean that literally. Your main eventers like Undertaker, Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle are here, while some of the lower card guys like Tommy Dreamer and Shannon Moore make their one game appearance in Shannon Moore's case. Every character has two attires, each so they could just be a promo attire, and others have actual alternate in-ring attire, which is really cool to see. There's also a good selection of the female cast, including the likes of Lita, Trish Stratus, Victoria, and more. Now, getting into the matches, we have up to 9 selectable match types that can have up to 6 people at once. Of course, we have the standard one-on-one. We have the hardcore and street fight. I'm grouping these together because they're pretty much the same thing. It's a standard match with no DQ and falls count anywhere, and you can pull out a variety of weapons from under the ring, from tables, 2 different sized ladders, trash cans, and more. And I do want to put over the fact that this game actually has the tables to break the way they do in real life. This is something I've wanted in the 2K games for over 10 years now.
Now, this game does have some pretty cool Easter eggs and features. One that I want to put over is the fact that if you use Tommy Dreamer in a hardcore or street fight match, he actually will come out with his iconic Singapore cane and will start the match with it equipped, which is really cool. I've only ever really seen that in the WCW game for the N64. La Parka had his steel chair already in hand, so that's actually a really cool attention to detail that I like.
Up next, we have the ladder matches, and they just don't quite work as intended. See, once you climb a ladder, your character just jumps forward, so you need to place the ladder a few inches back, and once you get to hang onto the belt, you need to mash the buttons, but this also doesn't quite work as intended. The match I recorded, I somehow still lost to Christian, even though I was there first and was up there longer. So how did I lose exactly? We also have table matches, which are self-explanatory. The steel cage is here, and it also just doesn't really work. Of course, there are no pinfalls here, just escaping the cage, and if you're not sure how to climb up or down, it's gonna be a problem. The climb up for me, since I'm on an emulator, it's up in R1, and to escape, it's down in R1. I'm gonna assume the shoulder buttons are acting as the white and black buttons on a normal Xbox controller, but I could be wrong about that. And finally, we do have the Devil's Playground, Hell in a Cell. The Hell in a Cell is huge here, and that's awesome. One of my biggest complaints about the Hell in a Cell in the current 2K games is how small it is. It's super tight-knit, and on the outside, you can't really do much. But here in Raw 2, you can actually freely move around and walk on the outside. Now, the only way to get weapons is not from under the ring. You have to actually break the door open and grab chairs from the announce table, which is kind of annoying, but I'll take it.
Now, we also have the Royal Rumble, and it does something that no other wrestling game to my knowledge has ever done. You can actually exit the ring and grab weapons and bring them into the Royal Rumble match. While not being common today, this was actually a fairly common occurrence back in the late Attitude Era and Ruthless Aggression era. And I think that if 2K were to add this and add the fact that you can exit the ring and the Rumble bring weapons, would be a really nice detail and make Rumble matches a lot more fun and bring something new. So, believe it or not, this game actually does some things that I think they do better than 2K. Another positive I have are the fact that finishers actually look good and devastating. Now, some of them do look like complete dog shit, but look at this F5 animation. It's pretty good.
Every wrestling game needs a creation suite, right? Of course, and Raw 2 has one, and honestly, it's really good. It has well over 100 call parts, and has some of the deepest entrance customization I have ever seen for a wrestling game. You can change the color of the lighting, the timing of your pyro. You could even rip a song off of your CD and put it onto your console, which, because I'm on an emulator, I can't exactly show you, but pretty cool feature to have. Now, gameplay-wise, this game is hit or miss. For one, it's very clunky most of the time, and I find that some of my inputs just don't register. Counters work whenever they feel like it. Now, the main way you end a match is to do enough moves to get your gauge red. Once it starts flashing, grab your opponent, hit X and A, and boom. Unfortunately, the AI just loves to kick out at 2, and in some cases 1 on your finisher.
It has become apparently clear that the spirit of Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks have entered my game and are trying to put on an AEW 5-star match.
Jokes aside, the real reason why they kick out at 2 is due to the referees. This game has up to 5 selectable real-life referees, which you would think would be pretty cool, but they all count slower than shit. I was playing a match between Brock Lesnar and Rob Van Dam. I shit you not hit RVD with 5 F5s and it still ended in a 10-minute draw. Why? Because the referee. You know, Cody Rhodes once made this legendary quote.
And says, "Where is that referee? He was trying to fuck on me."
And damn it, that referee did fuck on me.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
I will say, however, the presentation is good here, with the entrances looking good. Sometimes, albeit, I did notice that some people on the roster that have outdated themes. Like in this game, Rob Van Dam still has his Alliance theme, and Matt Hardy has a theme that he's never used to my knowledge. During the match, camera cuts will be in effect, and whenever you hit your finisher, real-time replays will occur, which again, I believe this and Raw 1 are the only games to do this. Now, once you decide you're done dicking around an exhibition, we have the Season Mode. Season Mode sees you select a character, oddly no cause allowed, and you go through an entire calendar year of the WWE. Now, one of the more infamous things this game is known for is the side activities you can do, like stealing from people's bags or setting traps for people that, in my experience, fail every time. And I have a question: what wrestler is really gonna sit in the parking lot and be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna set a trap for this guy"? Matches-wise, the first big match I had was defending my WWE Championship on SmackDown against RVD. This was the match I was talking about earlier with the 10-minute draw. Afterwards, it was immediately the first pay-per-view. Yeah, there's no... Usually how it works is there's no 4 shows. It's 1 SmackDown, 1 Raw, pay-per-view. I fought a match against the Big Show. For some reason, the Big Show turned into some technical god and reversed everything I threw at him. And it's here where the game can show how truly dumb the AI is. I'm gonna play you guys a full clips of just how dumb the AI can get in this game. Just watch this. Somehow I lost this match and my championship despite mashing the face buttons like crazy. After this, I got the biggest emotion ever by facing Goldust on Raw, who still gave me a challenge somehow. Wow. Just wow. During the season mode, you can actually call out other wrestlers. Here you can see me calling out the Big Show because I want my belt back, but this doesn't lead to anything. There are 0 storylines in season mode, meaning you have to use your dumbass imagination. Sometimes the AI will make smart booking decisions, like I did rematch Goldust for the next week on SmackDown, but no actual storylines or programs is a bummer. There's also no dialogue or voiceover, just silent film promos. Even the GM of Raw or SmackDown will come out for a big match announcement, but there is no dialogue. Also, champions will come out with their belts for some reason.
The season mode is fucked, you guys. Like, it is beyond fucked. I lost a King of the Ring tournament match against William Regal. Now, that'd be fine except for the fact I hit the man with 6 F5s, he still kicked out, and I lost to a stomp. Also, Tori Wilson won King of the Ring, by the way. Like, the booking decisions in this game actually make no sense. It boggles my mind to no end. Like, I'll give you an example. I faced The Undertaker. Then I teamed with him. I faced him again, and now I'm teaming with him again against The Rock and Hogan, which also, why the hell are The Rock and Hogan a tag team? I imagine this is some alternate universe where Vince Russo never goes to TNA and he's booking Raw 2 story mode, because this shit makes no sense. Also, the game booked Rey Mysterio versus Stephanie McMahon in a world title match, and Steph went over. Incredible storytelling. Now, clearly this game is flawed, very flawed in fact, but in my experience I find that if you just hop into exhibition mode and screw around, there is fun to be had here. With that being said, there's more negatives than there are positives, sadly, and that is why the final verdict for WWE Raw 2 on the original Xbox is a 5 out of 10. Now, will I play this game again? Will I turn it on, maybe screw around, have fun? Yeah, sure. Now you're probably asking what happened. Well, the developers of this game, Anchor Inc., they actually went under after this, and then they ended up getting Studio Gigante, who was headed by John Tobias, to make WrestleMania 21, which, fuck that game, I'm never reviewing it, don't ask. After the failures of the Xbox exclusive, they just said fuck it, and in 2006 put the SVR games on every console so we could all enjoy it. But with that being said, if you guys enjoyed this review, maybe consider leaving a like, subscribe. If you want to see more of my content, click one of the 2 videos. I don't know which way I'm pointing yet because I've edited this, but yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Peace. Oh, and 15 likes, I'll review the GameCube games.
In the 2000s, Total Nonstop Action, or TNA, was the biggest rival company to the WWE. Total Nonstop Action Wrestling offered something different to the product the World Wrestling Entertainment was offering at the time. Now, some of the biggest professional wrestlers in the world got their start in TNA. AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, just some examples. Even Sting, while not being a homegrown talent, was one of the biggest TNA stars. Now, I don't want to sit here and tell you the entire history of the Nashville-based promotion, because then we'd be here all day.
Today we're looking at Total Nonstop Action's one and only video game. Now, it's interesting to see that this game was actually developed by Midway Games, specifically the Los Angeles branch. So, let's see if this game holds up or if it was never good at all.
Now, the first hints of a TNA video game would be back in 2005, reported by Jay Cochran for the website Toy News International in November of 2005. Originally, it was reported that this would lead to a multi-year agreement with TNA to publish video games, and it was also reported that the first game would be released back in 2007. Now, almost nothing that was shown in the original image would be in the game, however. By the time it did release in September of 2008, both Jeff Hardy and Monty Brown had left TNA, and AJ Styles had a completely different look. Watching the behind-the-scenes videos, you can tell that the developers really did care about what they were making. One thing that I found that was personally cool was that the TNA wrestlers themselves would motion capture their own moves and mannerisms. This is cool because at the time, I believe WWE still had handcrafted animations for the SmackDown vs. Raw series, so I could be wrong about this, but this could be one of the first wrestling games to have motion capture. Now, getting into the game itself, you are greeted by a hyped up intro talking about TNA itself. And what's crazy is that AEW Fight Forever pretty much did copy the opening sequence to TNA Impact's intro.
There are moments when time stands still. When history unfolds, when we are bound by the magnificence of one singular event.
There are moments when time stands still. When history unfolds. When we are bound by the magnificence of one singular event.
Now, visually, I was actually shocked at how good this game still looks. Now, don't get me wrong, it definitely does have that PS3 era jank to it, but I think the wrestlers in the arenas look really detailed.
Now, quickly, I'd like to briefly touch on the controls for this game, because they are pretty unique and odd for a professional wrestling game, in my opinion. See, your strikes are simple enough, just simply press square or X. But then you get into the grapples. L1 and triangle grapples, and then triangle does the subsequent move. Now, while I think that's pretty odd for a wrestling game, I do actually think it does somewhat make it unique for this title. R1 is your reversals, and what's really cool about the reversals in this game is that you can actually reverse the reversals, but the timing's pretty strict, so you're not going to get it every time.
On the presentation front, the game does do a fine job. Now, I do hate that sadly we only have short entrances. I would have much rather have seen the full ones like the WWE games have. Don West and Mike Tenay do provide the color commentary here, and considering that these two are one of my favorite commentator groups of all time, it does make me feel like this could be a real match seen on TNA television. While not perfect commentary, I don't think it's abhorrently terrible. When connecting with the finishers, there are these dope cinematic camera cuts that show off the finisher. Now, they don't appear in multi-man matches, which is a downside, but the presentation in this game is really good. A complaint that I have is that this game does lack in some match types. You would think with it being a TNA game, we would see matches like the Six Sides of Steel or King of the Mountain, but the only TNA original match here is the Ultimate X match. Now, while Ultimate X is fun, I do wish we had gotten more match types that were seen on TNA television. Speaking of match types, I did play a triple threat between AJ Styles, Joe, and Daniels, and it's probably the most fun match I've had ever playing this game. Granted, it is the greatest triple threat match in TNA history, in fact professional wrestling history in my opinion, but just wanted to mention this. Now, this game does include a story mode, and frankly, it's a very interesting one. It follows a guy named Suicide, who they would actually turn into a real character on television to promote the game. Suicide here is voiced by Loki, or Senshi as he was called at the time, which is a fact that I would never have guessed if the man didn't come out and say it himself. To keep it simple stupid, Suicide wins the world title and gets the shit kicked out of him and dumped in Mexico. This leads to the Creation Suite, and it is not good, people. It's very basic and limited, sadly. Now, so far in this review, I have made it a point to try and not compare this game to the WWE games at the time, but I wish this Creation Suite was a lot like the way WWE handled theirs. Anyway, you make your character and are dumped in a gauntlet in Mexico. Now, one cool reference I noticed is that there's a character you fight called Nightwolf. That has to be a Mortal Kombat reference, which if it is, that's really cool. Now, after defeating 3 challengers, you get sent to an armory ran by these 2 ICP knockoffs. You beat them, and then the game gives you the first real challenge in the form of the first real wrestler, Cowboy James Storm. Beating him gets you a tryout in TNA. Now, after defeating all these random jobbers, you get to take on the Black Machismo himself, Jay Lethal. And winning that, you are now officially a TNA superstar. Now, I don't want to spoil the entire plot because this is a review, not a retrospective, but I do want to talk about this game's random as hell difficulty spikes. See, later in the tag division, you have to fight the Motor City Machine Guns. But this is one of the hardest matches in the game. And, you know, I'm sure you're thinking, okay, this is definitely a skill issue, which it could very well be, but this is not, okay, here's a model challenge. No, this is bullshit. I hate bullshit challenges. I can't stand them. Like, this fight was so hard to the point that I almost considered not finishing the story mode because of it. I cannot stand when a game just hands you a bullshit hard match. Anyway, after no joking hour, I finally get to 1, 2, 3, and then after, I challenge LAX for the tag titles. This match was also hard, but not nearly as hard as the Motor City Machine Guns match. Later, the game makes a big deal about you having to take on Samoa Joe. But, as Scott Steiner once said, he's fat! So, we're able to defeat him easily. Once again, without spoiling the entire story mode like I was originally going to, it's pretty good actually. The narrative is pretty good, and if you could ignore some of the harder matches, it's actually a pretty solid story mode, and I actually recommend it. It's pretty good actually.
Now, TNA Impact isn't the best game of all time, but I actually enjoyed it a lot, mainly for the novelty of it being TNA's only video game. Now, there was a reported sequel that was in the works until Midway filed for bankruptcy, and I would have loved to see a sequel to this game because I think it's a solid foundation to improve on. Like, imagine having more match types like the King of the Mountain or the 6 Sides of Steel, or more weapons like tables. What could have been, man?
Midnight Club Los Angeles, Rockstar San Diego's final racing game, released all the way back in 2008 for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. To this day is one of the best and most fleshed out racing games that I have ever played. If Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption are Rockstar's number 1 and 2, then Midnight Club is arguably their number 3 franchise. So, let's take a look back at the final Midnight Club. By the dawn of the new generation of consoles, Rockstar Games had just debuted their brand new Rage engine, short for Rockstar Advanced Game Engine. This was brought about due to Electronic Arts buying out the Renderware engine. Renderware was created by Criterion Software and was used over 100 games in the PS2 era, some of the most notable games being the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater franchise and most of the early GTA games. Now, in 2004, EA bought Criterion and with it became ownership of the Renderware software. Now, this caused a major problem because with EA owning it, they could pick and choose who to let use the engine, and there was no way that EA was about to let Rockstar Games, the makers of the rival to their Need for Speed franchise, use this engine. So Rockstar decided they were going to create their own, and the first games used with this brand new engine were a table tennis game of all things, Agent, which was a cancelled shooter game and sadly never released, and the big Grand Theft Auto 4. With this new engine, Rockstar wanted to have a big focus on the city of their new Midnight Club. The location chosen was Los Angeles, making it the second time it appeared in the franchise. Rockstar San Diego producer Jay Panic stated, "The development team chose Los Angeles as the location of the game due to the city's strong ties with the street racing culture. The team would also license several real-life locations in Los Angeles to make the city feel more authentic." And this is true, as driving through the game's version of LA, you can see iconic landmarks such as the Hollywood sign, Carney's, and more. Rockstar were determined to make the most realistic depiction of Los Angeles seen in any video game, albeit a bit condensed so it works for the racing. I can't speak to its accuracy because I've never left the East Coast, but I've spoken to people I know from California, and it's pretty accurate, honestly. In previous games like Midnight Club 3 that had 3 cities and 4 if you get the remix, but LA shown in Midnight Club LA is bigger than all 3 cities combined. Los Angeles had such an impact on the game studio that they decided to just name the entire game after it rather than just Midnight Club 4. The first trailer for Midnight Club LA was shown in 2007 with a playable version at that year's game convention. Grand Theft Auto has a great video investigating some of the early stuff shown in this clear beta version if you're interested in checking that out. Rockstar once again worked with Dub Magazine to get car licenses such as Buick, Ford, Pontiac, and more, with a single vehicle having over 100,000 polygons. The cars are more detailed than ever, even have their own individual interior view, with every car featuring accurate interiors from gauges to seats. Now, according to the game files, there's some cut police dialogue with a lot of cars that were cut from the game. Vehicles like certain Honda and Acura vehicles, a Ford F-150, a non-specific chopper, a drivable Cadillac Escalade, which that hurts the most, a Ferrari, and even a Porsche. One car that was cut super late in development was the Nissan GTR R35. It can be brought back into the game and is fully customizable. I don't know if this was a licensing issue or they just didn't want to have 2 GTRs in the same game, but I guess we'll never know. But after a lot of delays and an insane amount of hype, Midnight Club Los Angeles released in October of 2008 for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360.
Running straight back to the dealership. Me, I'm in my spaceship. That's right, I work for NASA. This FNH is not a fraud. Call that my bodyguard. Call that the bodyguard. Yeah, that's my bodyguard. Wear a lot of jewelry. Young
For the first and only time, Midnight Club features a dedicated protagonist, but just like Grand Theft Auto 3, they never reveal his name, although sometimes he is called Marcus or Matthew in the PSP version, even though that is just a reference to his voice actor Matthew Metzger. Now, for the sake of the video, I'm just going to call him Matthew instead of just calling him Player or Marcus. Matthew is a street racer from an unnamed state in the East Coast, and he is told by his friend Tony that the racing scene in LA is worth checking out. Getting into town, he meets Book and his 2 friends Nikolai and Trevor.
Nice car.
Thank you. What, so you Book?
So they say.
What?
Man, don't tell everyone.
Trust me, man, I won't.
Man, you're funny. You're like Tony. You one of them funny East Coast guys, huh? You here to do stand-up?
No, are you?
Book doesn't need a stage. People laugh at him just walking down the street.
Whatever you say, Nikolai. Your girlfriend found me funny.
She did. She was confused, wondering why you dressed like you're playing golf.
Cole! Man, shut up, y'all. Anyway, what you here for?
Race some cars, man.
What you mean, race some slow cars? It's a lot of kids hanging around down on the strip, right between Rodeo and Fairfax. Go race them. Then we'll
The
talk.
game immediately drops you in a race, and after winning a couple, Book hooks you up with Carol, the owner of various garages along Los Angeles. He can hook the player up with new rides, parts, or just even special abilities. Book or Carol will inform you of your new events and races through your awesome 2008 T-Mobile Sidekick. Some of the other supporting casts you will come across along your time in LA are Annie, Lester, Jen, Andrew, and Hugo. All of these characters will call or interact with the player at some point during the game. Annie will on occasion call you to race whenever she gets a new ride. Lester, you only really race once for his pink slips. Ah, what are pink slips, you ask? Well, let me explain. In various parts of the story, someone will call you about pink slip races, appearing for the first time since the original Midnight Club. Only difference being, Midnight Club 1 didn't take your car. In LA, it works as intended. If you lose, quit, or even turn off your console, you still lose your car. Now, luckily you can win your car back, it's not like it's lost forever, so that's good. Back to the characters, we have Jen and Andrew. Book informs you of a guy named Andrew racing downtown for pink slips, and you race his buddy Jen for his 350Z, and this is honestly one of the hardest races in the entire game. Is what I would say if Jen's car didn't stall on him, give us a free win and a free car. Andrew will then challenge you to race him 2 times in a car, and after beating him a second time, he flips out and kicks his RX-7.
Hey, relax, man.
Winning or losing doesn't matter in a piece of junk like this. Anyone can drive one.
Yeah, whatever you say.
For real. You think you're something special because you can press down a pedal? You think you're hard and fearless? Get on a bike, buddy. On a bike.
Okay.
Go get some practice and meet me in the hills. Then we'll see how tough you really are, buddy.
You defeat Andrew 2 more times on a bike, and that concludes his arc. Hugo is another racer Book connects you with. He comes off as cold and serious, but is actually just desperate to beat the player.
Me driving my sister's car. That thing was messed up.
Yeah, something was messed up.
I got a Golf 32 now, I see.
Oh, really?
And he doesn't do much besides give the player 20 grand. Near the end of the game, Book will give you a call to race against Andrew and Jen. The race is fairly easy by this point because you have Class A vehicles unlocked. But afterwards, the cops swarm everybody and Book calls for help.
Look! 5-0's all over us, man! Get out of here! Hey, you gotta help me out, man! I'm in some serious heat here!
Are you crazy? You're all over me too, man. What do you want me to do?
Have you forgotten what I've done for you? You'd be nothing without me! You owe me, man!
Look, I love to talk, but I gotta shake these fools. You're supposed to be the hotshot driver. Deal with it yourself.
I'm telling you, if you don't help me out now, it's over. We done. I'm cutting you off.
You're out of your mind, Book.
After this, Book is thrown in jail for street racing and cuts off all contact with Matthew, until Carol calls letting you know that Book has been running his mouth.
For women. You know me, boy, I'm relentless. Hey, let me call you right back. There he is. Judas, the ex-apostle. Looks like you picked the wrong team, man.
And what you talking about?
I won. Again, player.
Good for you.
See, you don't get it. We could have been friends.
See, I don't think I'm rich or superficial enough to be one of your crew. And I haven't had any cosmetic work done, so.
Well, you need it, fool.
Okay, tough guy. Not quite sure why winning's made you so angry.
I don't know why losing made you into a punk.
Listen, man, anytime you want to go, I'm ready.
Ready is one thing you ain't. Until you beat Tommy, Leon, and Letitia, just get out my face. You cramping my style.
Your personality is cramping your style, dude.
Player hater.
After defeating the 3 champions, you race Book in one final race for all the marbles, and winning this makes Matthew the LA City champ. Carol calls the player with one final offer. For $1 million, Matthew becomes half owner of the garage and gets any car or visual upgrade for completely free.
Sitting here, luxuriating in all my money.
Yeah. Speaking of money, you still serious about your shop?
Absolutely. I just had it valued. Business is worth $2 million.
So $1 million buys me a 50% share, right?
And all your work for free. You get to show off, pretend to work for a living rather than gamble your whole life away.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Welcome aboard!
Now, you can still race, but making this transaction pretty much ends the game's main story. For Midnight Club's first time ever having any narrative elements, I think that it was really done well. There's not that many cutscenes in the game, with only them being about 15 minutes in total. Considering it takes about 51 hours to 100% the game, this is a pretty short number. Even just a basic completion of the story is just still around 22 hours, so this is a game that, unless you're speedrunning, won't be completed in one whole sitting. In the world of MCLA, certain racers will trash talk or exchange dialogue with the player, and it feels like you're actually a part of LA's racing community. Rockstar did a really good job with LA in this game. It feels like you're in a real city that's not just some basic video game city. Like, yeah, Atlanta in Midnight Club 3 is great, but it doesn't feel like an authentic Atlanta.
Midnight Madness, Midnight Madness, Midnight Madness, Midnight Madness, Midnight Madness, Midnight Madness.
With Rockstar's new engine, Midnight Club Los Angeles doesn't feel or look anything like the previous titles, with the cars feeling more weighty and somewhat realistic. It isn't as arcade as 3, but isn't as terrible of GTA 4's driving. Customization gets a very big overhaul in this game, with the cars being more detailed than ever. Midnight Club LA's customization is still impressive as always, with body upgrades, wide bodies, rims, and even for the first time, interior customization. From steering wheels, gauges, and seats can all be customized and their colors changed. The biggest overhaul made is the vinyl editor. Rather than just select preset decals like Midnight Club 3, LA gives you full control of how the car looks. For me, this is one of the best parts of the entire game, as I've always somewhat enjoyed making cars in video games. I'm not the greatest of all time with it, but people have made full-on replicas of the Need for Speed Most Wanted cars and Fast and Furious vehicles. It's actually pretty insane how talented people can get with this. Combined with the new details with the cars, we also have convertibles, and yes, you can do the manual drop top by the click of a button. Once again, the special abilities from Midnight Club 3 return. Zone, Aggro, and Roar all return from 3, but here they have actually introduced a brand new ability to Midnight Club Los Angeles, the EMP. Now, EMP briefly disables the other racer's car, which can give you a short lead or advantage in a race. It's useful, but I think that Zone and Roar are still the better abilities in my opinion. Now, Midnight Club 3 actually locked abilities behind the car class, so like Zone only went to bikes and tuners, while Roar was restricted to muscle cars only. But here in LA, it's actually a free game, so a bike can have aggro, really. Now, the various races that you partake in Midnight Club Los Angeles are relatively the same from 3 with some new tweaks added in. Now, there's your normal race events. These are your typical sprint or circuit races. We have what's brand new to the game, the red light races. This is where you start a race at the red light and are instructed to get to a destination without any checkpoints. Now, these are they effectively replace the unordered races, which thank God, because I cannot stand unordered races. They still exist in this game, but they're nowhere in the career mode. Tournaments are brought back, with each district having 3 tournaments, and there's even some dub sponsor tournaments where you can win some dubbed vehicles, which is really cool. Now, you have the series races. These are just win X amount of races in a series. Now, for one reason or another, I can't figure out, whenever you get a new car type unlocked, it's always 6. Why does it always gotta be 6? It's everywhere you look, it's the mark of the beast. I pray that this isn't another Mario 3 situation, because if it is, we're gonna have a problem. Payback missions are where you just ram your car into other vehicles for money. This comes about with Carol calling the player, telling him that clients have ripped him off, and this is his way of revenge. Wager races are where you win X amount of money off certain car hangouts around Los Angeles, with some of them coming up to 30 grand. Now, some of these missions do get repetitive, sadly. The number of times that I got asked to win 3 wagers during my playthrough started to become very annoying, to the point where I started skipping those missions. But the variety of event types is very good, so I cannot complain too much.
So Cali. I'm moving down the freeway, stepping on the gas, switching my gears, trying not to crash. The bright city lights got me moving so fast, 120 on the dash, chasing that cash. You can say I'm speeding, tearing up the ceiling, flying by the cops like I ain't even see them. Driving through LA, right through downtown, flying through traffic. I gotta slow down, I gotta take it easy, but I don't know how. 22-inch rims sitting low to the ground. When I dip, they spring. Check my location, I'm getting road rage. I ain't got no patience. I'm running red lights, talking on the phone, riding shotgun with glasses for long. We West Coast on, static on the beat. Midnight Club, I'm a savage on the street.
A few months after Midnight Club Los Angeles' release, in March of 2009, Midnight Club will get its own DLC expansion, something that at the time was a more recent concept in gaming. with the 2 Grand Theft Auto 4 expansions coming out the year before. Now, after an accidental Xbox Marketplace leak, the South Central DLC will release for Midnight Club Los Angeles. South Central adds an entire expansion to the map of LA, adding landmarks such as the Crenshaw Mall and LA Memorial Coliseum. There's also a brand new car type that is added with the Lowriders, with such cars that are integral to the South Central community with like the Rivera, Malibu, and iconic 64 Impala. There's also some new tuners like the 2009 Mitsubishi Spider and the Evo 10, and we also get the return of SUVs. Now, it's just 2 Range Rovers, which I wish we could have got to use Escalades, but Range Rovers are cool too. South Central has its own story, I guess you can call it, attached to it, where you simply just defeat racers, win tournaments, and win some nice rides. It's not like its own cinematic story like the main game, it's just a new map, areas, and races. It's honestly a well-done expansion. I wish I could talk a lot more about the online, but I no longer have Xbox Live Gold, and there's no way I can show it off without having to get footage off YouTube, sadly. But only the Xbox version, to my knowledge, is still fully playable, and it appears to be very active, which is cool to see. A little over a year after the original game's release, Rockstar released the Complete Edition that has all the DLC pre-installed on disc, making the original version somewhat obsolete. This is the version that I played to record, as it's actually backwards compatible on modern Xbox consoles, which is really good to see. Midnight Club Los Angeles got decent to favorable review scores and sold well over 7 million copies. Now, it has been speculated what was the lost Midnight Club 5. It's long been speculated that it was either going to take place in London or Las Vegas, but we never got another Midnight Club game, sadly. And with the moneymaker that is Grand Theft Auto 5, why would Rockstar need to make one? But imagine if we got some more city-themed sequels, like Midnight Club New York, Midnight Club Miami, Midnight Club New Orleans. Hell, give me Midnight Club Jersey Shore.
Are you delusional? Are you delusional?
But we aren't done, because there's one more version of this game that I'd like to talk about. Midnight Club LA Remix will release the day after the console version for the PSP. This port has no business being as good as it is. Now, the LA featured in the remix is a ported version of Midnight Club 2's LA, because if they tried to put the console version in, your PSP would blow up in your hand. But they do have some of the new landmarks added, like Carney's and etc. There's no South Central, sadly, but I can live with that. There's no cutscenes. The interior view for the cars have been cut because, again, the PSP would explode if it had to render all the interiors. But it's basically the console version with Midnight Club 3's physics, just lacking its obscene difficulty, which is good. Now, this version specifically has something special to it. It has a Tokyo career. Now, I've already beaten it, and I can say it's good. Even ignoring the story, just the fact that Tokyo was finally on a handheld console and after being locked behind the remix for years, pretty good. I'd say this is one of the best PSP ports of any console game in my opinion. Next up there is the Def Jam port. Good friend of mine, Mike Masters, says that this PSP port has some black magic voodoo going on and has no business being as good as it is. Overall, I recommend the PSP port of both 3 and LA, but do be warned, however, Midnight Club 3 on the PSP has some horrible load times. The Audi R8 and TIS modular rims were attainable from 2008 to 2014. By completing various social club challenges, you will unlock the car and rims, but they are no longer obtainable by legitimate means. The only way to use the car is to mod the game or get a save file online for an emulator. Midnight Club Los Angeles is one of my favorite games of all time and my favorite racing game ever made. I think I'm one of the few people who actually thinks that this game is better than 3. Now, I haven't played 1 or 2 yet, and from what I've heard, 2 is hard as hell, and 3 is genuinely one of the hardest games I've ever played, so hearing that 2 is harder is not very welcoming. Compared to even the more recent Need for Speed title Unbound, I still think LA holds up and is even better. Now, to be completely fair, I don't really like Unbound. It's not a bad game, just not for me. But Need for Speed 2015? Now that's where that's at for me. But regardless of what franchise you like more, what you personally look for in a game, my point is, LA has lasted the test of time, and I think still holds up incredibly well. It's a shame that this great franchise has laid dormant since 2009, and hopes of a sequel are pretty much dead in the water. But I hope watching this video made you guys relive some memories, and maybe even had you go back to play it. If it did, let me know. Thank you for watching, and if you're new here, check out my other reviews. Maybe I've looked at a game you liked before. Batman Arkham City is arguably one of, if not the greatest superhero game ever released. At some point or another, you or someone you know has most likely played a Batman Arkham game. Maybe you started with Asylum and played the entire series through, or have only played the more recent titles. Either way, these games are held in very high regard, both as superhero games and video games as a whole. While I was too young to experience Asylum when it first came out, I can vividly remember getting Arkham City. It had to have been either 2011 or 12 because it was before Origins came out, so I would have been around 5 or 6 or something like that. And, you know, I played the game when it first came out, and by play I mean I just sat up on a perch and threw batarangs at people because that's just what I found entertaining at the time. And this was long before I got my own PlayStation, so I would just, you know, play, I'd leave for the weekend or whatever, go to my grandpa's, and I'd come back and I'd find that my dad played during the weekend and gotten us further in our playthrough. And this was kind of rare because this is around the time where he was mainly just focused on Call of Duty and the about to release Grand Theft Auto 5. But that's my history of Arkham City. But back to the actual topic at hand, Batman Arkham Asylum was released back in 2009 by Rocksteady Studios, a team that before this point had made only one game, Urban Chaos Riot Response, which is an FPS for the PS2, and that's really all I know about it. But they delivered because Arkham Asylum was fucking amazing. It wasn't the first Batman game or anything like that, but it was the first one that really focused on being Batman. I mean, you have a great atmosphere, you have Paul Dini who wrote it, and the cast of the animated series, in my opinion, the greatest cartoon ever, and when you have all that, you end up selling 4.3 million copies. But 2 years later, in 2011, we would get Arkham City, which was bigger and more expansive in every way. So, let's take a retrospective look back at what is considered to be one of, if not the greatest superhero games of all time. Before we could talk about the main characters in the story, we need to talk about the real main character here, and that is the world itself. Arkham Asylum as a world was a great setting for the first game, but for the sequel, Rocksteady wanted a bigger and more expansive world. A full-on city, Arkham City, consisting of a couple blocks of Gotham City sectioned off as a prison of sorts, including locations integral to Batman lore like Ace Chemicals and Crime Alley. You can also tell you're at Arkham City by the various thugs. For example, on one end of the map, you'll see the Penguin and Two-Faces gang, and if you glide all the way to the other, you'll see the Joker's crew. And if you pay attention to the dialogue and what's going on here, there's a mini turf war. You don't really notice it if you're not paying attention, but it's something to look out for. While in Arkham Asylum, a lot of the thugs were kind of just there and had a lot of recycled models and dialogue, Arkham City, the thugs will have actual banter and full-on conversations, which is pretty funny to listen to sometimes.
Here, the boss has vanished. What? Where'd Penguin go? No idea. 1 minute he was all, Batman's going in my trophy case. The next, nothing. Zip. I don't like it. Do you think he's dead? Did Batman kill him? Have you been back to the museum? The museum's locked down. Those undercover bitches have taken over. I knew we should have killed him. So what's the plan? Lay low. See any of Joker's crew? Kill him. Deal. That place is locked down tighter than my mother on prom night.
What the hell does that mean?
You don't want to know.
Yeah, I do. Me too.
We've got more important things to be dealing with, like, what are we gonna do if Batman's taken down the Penguin?
Maybe we could go see your mother.
Don't even go there.
I think we touched a raw nerve there. What's the deal? Is your mommy the town bike?
No.
I bet she is.
If you must know, on her prom night she got a little drunk.
I told you.
It's the Bat!
and thankfully they all look and represent the gangs. And there's various Easter eggs and references to other Batman and other DC characters around the map. At face value, it's great to have a city, but there's also a fully explorable subway system and sewer. While I consider Arkham Asylum's atmosphere to be the scariest, some of that is still here in City. There's something unsettling about the abandoned subways and sewers. Even when you get to Wonder City under the map and you see all the strung up bodies, that shit is scary. Gameplay wasn't changed all that much from Asylum. It's the same fundamental system, but it's important for a superhero game to feel like said superhero. Batman can do a number of things during gameplay, with combat being arguably the most well-known part of the series. In hand-to-hand combat, Arkham uses what's known as the free-flow combat system. It rewards the player for stringing together high combos rather than just mashing buttons. That's not to say you can't do that, but being good at this certainly helps. And the major focus on stealth. Predator sections are, in my opinion, the coolest parts of the game. There's a certain cool factor of being patient and biding your time and then striking. Go for the enemy, hiding in vents or on top of perches. It's a pretty cool concept of being in control of the room. And in the challenge maps, it's a race to see how fast you can clear the room, but we'll get to challenge maps later in the video. In both situations, Batman has utilization of gadgets like batarangs, bat claws, explosive gel, the remote electrical charge gun, and more. And like any other superhero game, Arkham City includes an upgrade system. The upgrade system has things like being invisible to heat sensors, shorter combo takedowns, and of course the armor and health upgrades, which are like the first things that I maxed out on a playthrough. You can even get upgrade disarms. Like, seriously, what's cooler than Batman just snatching a gun and dismantling it in front of your eyes? I'm running at that point. But now that we have the city, the gameplay, let's talk about the story and the characters of Arkham City. Arkham City's story picks up a couple months after Asylum, and the game starts with Catwoman? Okay, for context, I'm playing the Return to Arkham Remaster for PlayStation, so I have all the DLC and bonus content on disc. Anyway, we kick the asses of some thugs and Catwoman has a gun pointed at her head. Jump to blindness, and we have Bruce Wayne being interrogated by one of the game's villains, Hugo Strange. Notice I didn't call him the main villain, and I'll speak on that in a moment. Hugo Strange speaks to us about something called Protocol 10 and then drops the oh shit moment. Hugo Strange knows Bruce Wayne is Batman. Now, right off the bat, I need to show my respects to Batman's voice actor Kevin Conroy. For a lot of people, me included, he is Batman. Whether you're a bit older and you know him from BTAS, or around my age where you know him from the Arkham games. And I fucking love BTAS, by the way, I'm not just saying that for the video, it's genuinely one of my favorite shows ever. But back to Kevin Conroy, for me, he is Batman. Even when I read comics, I hear Kevin's voice. Rest in peace. Now back to the story. One of the things that I really thought was cool about this story is a lot of Batman's Rose Gallery do get a chance to shine here. The Penguin, voiced by Nolan North. Two-Face has a beef with Catwoman going on that's only really shown a few times, but, you know. I do want to give props, however, to Troy Baker's performance as Two-Face. I know it's just sort of his real voice, just deeper, but I don't know, I just always enjoyed the way he played Two-Face. And he delivers what might be my favorite line in the entire game.
No gun harm? Shame. This is gonna hurt.
2 guns, bitch!
And, of course, the Joker and Harley Quinn. After you rescue Catwoman, the game pretty much focuses a lot on the Harley and Joker plot. The story here is we infiltrate the steel mill, and after taking care of Harley's forces, we get up to the room and... Whoa, Joker's dead? Whoa, wait, what the fuck is going on? Okay, it turns out that the Joker is dying due to the Titan that he took back in Arkham Asylum. So, Joker decides to inject Batman with his poisoned blood, and that's pretty much the main plot of the game, besides Protocol 10. Strange will occasionally chime in, counting down the hours until Protocol 10 actually happens, and that's pretty much his entire role for most of the game, sadly. Joker sends us to go get Mr. Freeze to make a cure, and this begins the Penguin arc. We saw the Penguin earlier as Bruce, where he breaks Penguin's hand. The Penguin has Mr. Freeze hostage, so we break into the museum, and I'm skimming ahead a few details, I know. But by the time we rescue Freeze, we get the jammer and we catch up to Penguin and give him an uppercut that would make Ryu proud. But Oswald has something up his sleeve. Our first true boss fight, Solomon Grundy. Grundy is a fairly straightforward boss. He regenerates with electricity and you need to put some explosive gel on the generators a few times to defeat him. One of the cooler hidden details is if you shoot Grundy with the rec gun, he will actually replenish his health bar, which is a neat little attention to detail. It's pretty cool. And after we defeat Grundy and Penguin, that concludes the Penguin arc. Moving on, we have the League of Assassins arc. Freeze tells Batman he needs his aged blood for the cure, and by the power of plot convenience, an assassin breaks out and Batman tells her. Here we get a Robin cameo, and hold on, I gotta put a pause for a second.
They did Robin so dirty in this game. Like, he shows up, he's got this cool badass design, he's voiced by Troy Baker, and his only role is to deliver the line launcher, and then he fucks off for the rest of the game. Why? Like, why have Robin all at that point? Like, I'm glad he's here, don't get me wrong, but they kind of just wasted him. He has like maybe 6 lines in the entire game.
Anyway, getting back to the plot, we get back-to-back boss fights in the span of like an hour. First is the Ra's al Ghul boss fight. It involves using the rec gun when he's in this giant sand form and then striking his men. And I'll be honest, this is one of the better boss fights if I say so myself. But after this, it's when you return to Freeze. We get the best boss fight in the game and one of my personal favorite boss fights in video game history. The whole gimmick with Mr. Freeze is it's a stealth boss, but you cannot do the same thing twice. For example, if you use the vents even once, he'll completely shut that shit down. Go to glide kick him, Freeze will fuck with the air in the room and completely remove Batman's gliding. I'm showing the New Game Plus gameplay because it's the more challenging version, because in the standard playthrough you only need to take him down about 4 or 5 times. But in New Game Plus, which allows you to keep all your upgrades, but enemies do more damage and there's no counter indicators. And it doesn't alter the boss fights too much except for this one. Freeze does way more damage and as a result takes less. You need to pretty much use every technique that Batman can do. And I won't even lie, it took me over an hour to beat Freeze on New Game Plus, but dude, this boss fight is just so good. Also, something that I want to bring up is the fact that Batman briefly hallucinates Joker while punching Freeze. It's never acknowledged or brought up again. Knowing what we know now, I guess this was a tease for Arkham Knight, but I just wanted to mention that because I found that strange. After we get done with Freeze, we save Vicky Vale from Joker's snipers and re-enter the Still Mill, and it's here where we get closer and closer to Protocol 10. And while Batman is making his way through the mill, we learn that Strange got permission for Protocol 10 by providing the various gangs with weapons and acting like he's lost control. Now, I just explained about 5 to 6 hours of gameplay in a few minutes, and Strange really hasn't been a factor. And this is one of the things that I and many people have questioned. On the one hand, I personally enjoy the Joker stuff, but I also feel like Strange was sort of just pushed aside until the end of the game, which we will get to. I mean, he was in all the marketing and shit, but like, he's more of a background villain, which makes more sense for his character, but I will explain that more in a little bit. Batman makes his way to the Joker, and somehow Joker looks good as new. He challenges Batman to a fight and then calls his guys, but as Batman is about to defeat Joker, Protocol 10 starts and Talia al Ghul shows up to make a deal with the Joker and then cut to Catwoman. Okay, so to backtrack for a little bit, after Catwoman left the courthouse, she gets captured by Poison Ivy and is just presumably held there for hours at this point. She convinces Ivy to help her break into the Tiger Vault, and once she does, she clears all of the guards and steals the loot. As she's leaving, Protocol 10 starts and sees Batman unconscious, and the game gives you the option to leave Arkham City or save Batman if you choose. If you decide to leave, you get a fake out ending where Oracle delivers his super creepy message.
Joker's won. I can't believe I'm saying this. He's won. There's nothing we can do. Bruce is dead. He's gone.
The game will rewind itself, and Catwoman goes to save Batman, and this leads to the endgame, where Batman finally goes to confront Strange. And it's revealed that Protocol 10 is a missile strike that will kill every inmate in Arkham City. Batman scales Wonder Tower and confronts Strange, where he is stabbed in the back, literally by a secret benefactor, Hugo Strange. And after it's clear that he's going to die, Hugo activates Protocol 11 and Batman tackles Ra's out of Wonder Tower, where we get one of the most brutal deaths in the series. Batman finally goes after Joker and Talia, and once in the theater, Joker demands the cure and Talia kills him. And it's here where the big twist happens. There were two Jokers the entire time. The real Joker shoots Talia, killing her instantly, and the fake Joker is revealed to be Clayface. Batman and Clayface fight. This boss fight requires you to spam the freeze grenade to Clayface and then use Talia's sword to defeat all of his sand clones. Batman defeats Clayface and finally takes the cure.
Get out of my way, bats! I've got a date with immortality! No! 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 Quick! The cure! What are you waiting for? Come on! I killed your girlfriend, poisoned Gotham in hell. It's not even breakfast. But so what? We all know you'll save me.
Every decision you've ever made ends with death and misery. People die. I stop you. You'll just break out and do it again.
Think of it as a running gag! No! Are you happy now?
Do you want to know something funny? Even after everything you've done, I would have saved you.
You know, that actually is pretty funny.
All units coordinated. What the? What the hell happened in there? Batman! What happened?
And that is Arkham City's main story. Now, again, the biggest complaint that I've heard from friends of mine and other people is that that Strange was built up in all this marketing and he's kind of just pushed to the side. And I have heard from people that I know that the story sucks in their opinion because of this, but I don't agree with that at all. I enjoy the story. One of the things that I kind of really enjoyed about Strange, though, is the fact he's more of a background villain. If you listen to most of the interview tapes, it's clear he's behind almost everything that happens in the game. But let's talk about the various side missions and the DLC expansion for Batman Arkham City. Batman Arkham City features various side missions revolving around some of his other rogues gallery who didn't have an impact on the overall story. The first side mission that I usually start my playthroughs on is Watcher in the Wings. Watcher in the Wings involves Azrael, who stalks and watches Batman for most of the game. You find him in 4 different locations and scan these symbols he leaves behind and then track him to the church. I'd like to think that this was sort of a teaser for Azrael's role in Arkham Knight, because that's pretty much his entire role in the game. Fragile Alliance involves Bane and Batman teaming up to destroy Titan containers in Arkham City. You can either destroy all of them before you even talk to Bane or vice versa. Once you destroy all of the containers, you return to Bane and then surprise surprise, he turns heel. And Batman outsmarts him. Because Rocksteady just had to have their dumb Bane. Thankfully, the next Arkham game had one of the best versions of Bane ever, in my opinion. Shot in the Dark is about Deadshot killing various political prisoners. Batman eventually catches Deadshot slipping and saves Jack Ryder from an assassination attempt. And this leads us into the Deadshot boss fight. And I'll be honest, this is easily the hardest boss fight next to Freeze in maybe the entire series.
Think you can get to me? Many have tried. None have managed it. Where have you gone, Batman?
Cold Call Killer is one of the more interesting side missions. Around Arkham City, payphones will start to ring, and when Batman picks one up, it's Victor Zsasz, who is threatening to kill a hostage if Batman doesn't make it to the phone in time. It's always a time thing, it's a rush to get to the next payphone, and once you make it there, Zsasz basically tells you his origin story while you trace his call. And once you do this about 6 times or so, you take him down at his water treatment plant or whatever it is. The Tea Party's the Mad Hatter side mission. Alfred will let you know about a cure drop-off, but when Batman takes it, he is knocked out and wakes up trying to be hypnotized by the Mad Hatter. This is just a big combat section, and then he defeats the Mad Hatter. Identity Theft is one of the better side missions, though. Batman comes across a dead body with their face bandaged up, and every witness or supposed killer he talks to all say it's Bruce Wayne who killed them. Now, the main gimmick with this side mission is that the game doesn't tell you where the rest of the bodies are. You have to find the other 2 yourself. Or just use a guide. That's what I did. There's no shame in that. After you find the 3rd and final body, you walk into the Identity Theft's hideout only to find out it's Hush. And he gets away, scot-free. And they did nothing with this because he was once again relegated to a side mission in Arkham Knight. Now, before I want to talk about the last villain side mission, let's do the boring side mission speed round. AR Training is the side mission that teaches you about Batman's gliding capabilities. Completing this will unlock the grapnel boost. Arkham Assault just sees Batman going across the city stopping random acts of violence. The Iceberg Lounge sees you literally walk into the lounge, get an upgrade, and walk out. Same with the Stolen Freeze tech. You make your way to the basement of the steel mill and get the better freeze grenade. And the Nora Freeze mission. Mr. Freeze asks you to find Nora, and you do. Now, let's talk about the side mission in this game that I fucking hate the most. The Riddler. Enigma Conundrum sees the Riddler take a bunch of medics and guards hostage, and you need to save all of them from these death trap rooms with one catch. If you don't have enough trophies or riddles, you cannot unlock the next room. And not counting Catwoman's 47, you need all 400 to beat the side mission. I have only completed this mission one time on PC because my friend bet me that I couldn't 100% the game. After I beat the game on New Game Plus, I still was not done, however, on this particular playthrough anyway. After a while of just doing full city sweeps with nothing, I gave up and started to use guides, and after that I just was like, oh my god. As for the trophies themselves, they're either just there in plain sight, well hidden, or an actual puzzle. And the hostage rooms, they can usually be cheesed, like here with Detective Vision or the Line Launcher. And thankfully progress does track between New Game Plus and the original game. If it didn't, I would have lost my shit and probably canceled their video. But I'm fairly close. I just need 100 something more, or something like that, but this shit is time consuming. Eventually I just gave up and said this shit's boring, I quit, so... It ends where you track down Riddler and you basically beat his ass. Fuck the Riddler, I'm never doing this again. And now for the singular DLC expansion, Harley Quinn's Revenge. Harley Quinn's Revenge takes place a few weeks after the main game and focuses on Robin mainly. At least now he has an actual role in the story besides just helping Batman at a hospital. Batman has been missing for up to 2 days and Robin comes in to save Batman.
It's a nice short little DLC expansion. I'm just happy that Robin was actually playable and there's an actual purpose for him to be here, which is really cool. And it's a nice little epilogue that wraps up Arkham City as a whole. One of the things that I was really impressed by, like the little detail, is the way that Kevin Conroy plays Batman in this DLC. Batman just sounds like super depressed and upset, and Oracle and Robin actually comment on it if you listen to it.
You think? He's not been the same since... He won't even talk about Talia or Joker.
The last thing I want to touch on is the challenge maps. These are sort of your Bloody Palace mode, where there's maps for combat and predator sections. The combat challenge maps are mainly about scores, while predator ones are about clearing the room in the fastest time while doing certain things like shooting someone with the rec gun. A lot of the maps are just reused assets from the story, but some of the DLC maps are very interesting, mainly the campaigns. The campaigns are just 2 or 3 maps back to back to back, but one of the ones that I think is really cool is the Black Mask campaign. Black Mask, who was literally only seen once in the very beginning of the game, gets a small campaign here. The first map is your normal Predator section, but then Black Mask hops on a freight train, and it turns into a side-scroller beat-em-up section. That is fucking cool. No doubt a callback to the Batman NES games. Overall, this to me is the greatest superhero game ever made, but it's not my personal favorite. My favorite superhero game is Episode 4 Another Time, but I hope you guys enjoy my look back at Arkham City. If you enjoyed, check out some of my other work. I cover all sorts of games, from pro wrestling to action games. I have something for everybody on this channel. Oh, and I want to give a shout out to the homie Red Comet 13. He made his own video on Arkham Asylum, and it's too fucking good not to have the views it should, in my opinion. Please go check it out. Okay, fuck off.